Ladies and gentlemen, we haven't seen you in a while, but the Open Tabs podcast is back. I'm Calvin Smith. I'm with my main man, Joe Carlos, and our dear friend, Christopher Lee. Joe, what's up?
Man, so much drama in the NFC. Really the AFC. NFC and the AFC. Nothing much, man. Obviously we were talking in the pre-show. We were talking about I just wanted to just say this since we're going to get to the Rams and a home game for the Rams on Monday night. The Chargers are playing, but they're not playing at home. But obviously we are thinking about and checking on our family members that are affected by these crazy winds and fires, wildfires in the Los Angeles area.
Absolutely.
So that is top of mind at present. But having said that, also, of course, this tomorrow kicks off one of the greatest, actually probably the greatest 5 days of football in history. 5 consecutive days of football in history. We heard about this a year or two ago, and a year ago we heard about this day. This. It's not a fortnight. It's not even this 5 day. This quint. This quintuple of a day, and now we're there, and it's just on the precipice. It feels amazing to be there. So I am locked and loaded, very excited to kick off football again starting tomorrow. Morehouse has already said they're not open on Friday, which just adds to the fun getting ready for 7 o'clock for the Cotton Bowl after watching the outcome the night before of inevitably the first black head coach to be represented in the CFP. And then we get in the wild card Saturday. Why someone has a birthday party on Saturday, I don't know that I have to take Sage to, but I will be watching the game from my phone. Unashamedly, unabashedly, with no. Oh, actually, you know what? It's before the games. It's before the games.
Nice.
I just looked at that. It is rather nice.
You will have earned it.
I couldn't agree more. But no, no. Well, we're over here, man. Just rocking and rolling, man. And it's good to be here on here with you, Calvin Miles Smith, the third medical doctor.
Mad Dog.
01 Mad Dog 01. It's wonderful to be here on this with you. I love the background. There's so many different things going on.
Oh yeah,
back there. One harkens to your Black Velvet, Black History Month. One of my favorite shots of King when I would love to have seen the video that when he did that in, where he shows. Every time he shows off the Rolex, it's good for all of us. But I see all the imagery there behind you, so we're very. I love this.
Joe, no detail goes unnoticed. I appreciate that, sir.
One goes this way and the other goes that way. You know what I mean?
All of those things.
Yeah, I see the dogs up there. One goes this way, the other goes that way. Yes.
I appreciate you. Chris, how's life in Huntsville? What's going on, man?
Well, I want to say it's good to be back. Hopefully this year I feel healthier, so hopefully I'm much less nasal than I was on my debut. And the fact that for whatever foolish reason, you all decided to bring me back. And so well, as I keep saying, I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, we got unfinished business, brother.
But it's cold here. We're expecting some snow here. I think they're expecting between 5 to 8 inches of snow on Friday.
Northern Alabama.
So, last year we were shut down for a week over an inch of ice. So, keep us in your thoughts. No, there are people who actually need your thoughts and prayers right now, especially out there in Southern California. So we're going to be fine. So, but please pray for the people in Southern California.
Absolutely.
Especially all of our friends, my friends out there.
Absolutely.
But aside from that, what has changed in the last year, my background is the same. Like I said, I hope I sound better. And, I was able to visit the old home of the Pro Bowl. And,
nice.
I think there are talks of building a new stadium. I hope they do take it back out to Hawaii.
That when they talk of expansion, they never mention Hawaii. And I mean, I get it, but like, you know, let's put that in the radar.
We'll put a
Let's
pin
at
in it.
least
We're going to bring
consider
that one
Hawaii.
back.
Yeah, brothers want to take a trip
You
out
have to
there.
bring one more team in though. You couldn't go. You have to bring another. Maybe San Antonio will finally get that look, or bring it back to St. Louis.
So you want St. Louis to have their team back?
Yeah,
Yeah,
bring it
yeah,
back to St. Louis.
yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
But it'd have to be 34. It couldn't
Mhm.
go odd.
Oh yeah, no. You can't have a bye week. They tried that once. You remember that
I
when the
do.
Browns? Yeah, and
I
that
do.
was a massive failure.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It
yeah,
wasn't. It wasn't smart.
yeah, you gotta.
Yes, but I'm with you. I don't know why. I mean, it is a
I think
long
the
flight.
time
It's
difference.
a long flight. It's a
It's a
Yeah.
long
long
flight,
flight.
but
Well, not
they
just a
make
long
that.
flight, but they're, what, 4 to 5 hours behind.
Yeah,
Well, 5 to 6 hours behind the East Coast, depending on where you are
Yeah,
with
what time
daylight
did you play
saving
that
time.
game?
when I went
Yeah.
out there and I arrived. It was the mid afternoon, and they were showing an evening like a Falcons and Eagles game.
The Sunday
That was
night.
like a Sunday night game, right? Exactly, and it was like mid afternoon. So to your point, there's some logistics to work out there for sure.
So I wonder what time the Pro Bowl is usually like 1 or 2. No, it's usually it's a little later, like 3 or 4 our
Mhm.
time. So it must be a morning game or a
So
noon
it's like a
game.
10 a.m. game there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
yeah,
Got it.
that makes sense.
Eh,
That makes sense.
which is yeah.
Which they
That's
don't mind, but
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
they don't, but it's been devalued. The Pro Bowl has been
yeah.
devalued by. I love Orlando.
Hurricanes.
I love Orlando. I think it's great, and it's not even about the city. I think doing all those different things just to mess up. Like, how do you mess up that game? I don't understand. It's kind of like the NBA. Like,
yeah,
just put the jerseys on and play the
yeah,
game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just let
Like,
them play.
I don't like this
what is it?
elementary school field day thing
Yeah,
they
like
have
what?
going.
I don't understand. I do get the skills tests and all that. I understand that. Like, okay, fine, but just
Do that on
put
Saturday.
the jerseys on
Yeah,
and play your jersey
yeah,
and play the games. Okay,
yeah,
if it was good enough in '97 and '98, you know what I'm saying,
yeah,
at Madison Square Garden and wherever the heck they went, '97, then it is definitely. I think '97 was MSG. Then it is definitely good enough, for 2025. I don't.
yeah,
This 14 like. Then you draft, and it's like, what do you do? Just West is West, East is East, and
yeah.
play.
Keep it simple.
Like
Keep it
baseball,
simple.
baseball doesn't mess that up.
Yeah,
They understand.
yeah,
They don't know.
yeah.
No, I mean, they play East, and NL plays NL, and AL plays AL.
The only
Yeah,
thing they
But
messed
once
up was
Bob Silly
tying it
caught
into
that
the home
tie,
field. Tying
yeah,
it into the home field.
yeah.
well,
They do
that
tie
too.
it into the whole field to add some incentive, and if you're an all star, you're probably playing on a team that could make it, but in some cases, you're an all star and you're on a team that may never make it.
Yeah,
Uh,
and one thing baseball does real well is they make sure there's representation from every team, regardless. So and
yeah.
and to your point about wearing the jerseys, like I think in the '80s, man, like the Falcons like would only have Bill Fralick or somebody out there, man. So like it would be good to be able to identify Bill Fralick.
But
Because
no. Well, the Falcons, the NFL didn't wear the jersey. I mean, it was like blue or
but they
white.
had the helmets.
Yeah, they had helmets. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
What I want to come back for the Pro Bowl is where the losing coach of the conference championship game
Right.
is the coach. I love that as the incentive.
I do too. I do too. I do too.
And
I do
then
too.
and then who wasn't the head coach of the Super Bowl winning team, the coach of the other team? Well, it was always the losing coach of the
No, it was
conference.
always the losing coaches of the conference championships
Right, which
because
is kind of like a little vacation.
the
It's like
winning
it's a
coaches were
consolation.
busy.
Right, it's a consolation. But it was after the season. It was
Yeah.
Yeah,
after
in
the
the
season.
old days, it was after the season.
Well, yeah, the week after. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was like that first year they did it weird was '07.
Yeah.
When it was before. Remember like the Colts showed up. They just showed up to it was like Orlando or it was Jacksonville. They showed
They just
up,
showed up. They're
they
like, we here.
walked out, and then they left. Like the Bears did the same. And it was just like, what are you doing? It just made
Yeah.
it was just like, why mess this up, NFL?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do understand people were like not going, and whatever else. But a lot of people did go. I didn't realize. I don't think I was doing some reading in Texas Monthly Magazine. I was looking for something. I watched Friday Night Lights today while at work, and and I just had to look up some stuff about those kids,
Mm-hmm.
from Permian, and
Mm,
and I was looking at Mike Winchell, and I was looking at stuff, and it was all in Texas Monthly Magazine. So
mm-hmm.
then it took me down a rabbit hole. When you get to the bottom of an article, the links to these other articles, right? So there's this
Mm-hmm.
picture in Super Bowl 12, after Super Bowl 12, Danny White
Mm-hmm.
kissing a cheerleader, which is
Ah.
like verboten, but definitely was verboten by Tom Landry,
Mm-hmm.
and Danny White was exceptionally married, but but they basically used Tex used his power to make sure that picture never saw the light of day,
Ah.
to maintain the image of the team.
Mm.
And I was thinking though that back then, they weren't these multimillionaire guys. They were like so a trip to Hawaii, a free trip to Hawaii
Mm-hmm.
for you and your family
It kind of meant something.
was a big deal. And so
Yeah.
what they were explaining was they said like a lot of the Cowboys lived in the same apartment complexes that the cheerleaders lived in. Like they were
Mm.
just always around each other.
Yeah.
So to say they weren't fraternizing was like a total lie. So they were
Proximity.
always the proximity, they were always around each other. But I mean, they weren't making crazy money,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so the prospect of this free trip that was all expenses paid and all this kind of stuff
Yeah.
in this beautiful place in
A
Hawaii.
swanky Hawaiian
Yeah,
hotel.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a very big selling
Sure.
point in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And then at some point, when guys started making more money, it just didn't matter so much. And then
Yeah.
they weren't going to hurt each other and all that kind of stuff. It didn't matter so much. So I don't I know they tried to do some things, and the guys look like they're enjoying themselves
Mm-hmm.
down in Orlando. It kind of looks like the NBA in the bubble, like the way they look like they're
Mm.
enjoying themselves. But speaking of Orlando,
Yeah.
but it's just like, how do you mess it up? Just
Yeah.
play the
Mm.
game, play flag football.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can even
Mm.
have Manning still coach. I don't mind that. I have nothing but love for that.
Yeah.
But come on,
Yeah.
just, just you all both know I'm in a very serious grumpy old man phase, and
Yeah.
that one that one or a grumpy old man. So that one is high on my list. How do you mess up all-star games? Just come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
NHL doesn't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would have said this other thing. You mentioned about the helmets.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time growing up in Dallas when it was just like Randy White. Randy White was the only one. It was like
Mm-hmm.
Randy White was
Mm-hmm.
the Hall of Famer, the Manster, but he was the only like Pro
Mm-hmm.
Bowler. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And then you just be looking for him. Oh, did he get in?
Yeah.
Did Randy get
Yeah.
in?
Yeah.
Just looking for that helmet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're looking for that. You're looking for that lid, man.
Looking for that star.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I got you.
yeah. So I feel it. And speaking of NBA, I remember we had two All Stars one year. It was like,
Rolando and Mark.
it was Mark and James Donaldson in '88.
James Donaldson. That's a good pull.
James
Okay.
Donaldson. Yeah, Kareem didn't play as much that season,
Oh,
and
okay.
so Donaldson got on that second team. But I
Nice.
had the
Okay.
I had the Dallas Times Herald. It was this big cutout thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I had that on my wall with two All Stars, and
Of course you did.
big
Of course
season,
you did. Of
big season for us.
course you did. Of course you did. All right. So
Back to football.
we're gonna have. I think I'm gonna call a little audible here. We're gonna have 3 discussions.
Can't wait.
Because I had forgotten. I mean, you're euphoric about, as you should be, about your Steers, your Longhorns making it into the Final Four. Lee and myself are not so happy. But it's football. It's college football.
It rains.
Yeah,
The sun comes
yeah.
out. Sometimes it rains. I can't remember. Logan Roy said something like, "It's sunny and it rains."
Hey, sunshine's a major part of the daytime.
It is. It is. Piece of mankind. Ghostface carrier Black Nine. N word. Yes.
Word. Yeah,
Yes.
indeed. So I think let's start out with the discussion of the college football playoff real quick.
Mm. Quick.
Uh and maybe I don't think these predictions should count for anything, but I think that it's fine to make some predictions about these matchups and go from there. And then talk about the MVP conversation and then jump into
Sure.
our predictions for the wild card games. Y'all
I
game
love
with
the
that?
outline. I love that outline.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Chris, you good? You good on that
I'm
outline?
good.
Okay,
Let's
good.
rock and
All
roll.
right. And then Joe, to close the show, we'll make each of us an owner, and we'll talk about
Sure. The owner question. Yeah.
the owner question for
Got it.
sure. So the college football playoff, I don't actually have that pulled up. The first game is you guys? Is it
No, the first game is the Orange Bowl in
okay.
Miami Gardens.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you. Lakeitha would be happy about it hearing that
Yes.
shout out.
Yes, exactly. That's why I said it that way specifically. Yes.
Beautiful Miami Gardens. Yes.
Beautiful,
indeed.
beautiful Miami Gardens. Yes. Yes.
Joe
Yes.
Robbie.
Okay.
Joe Robbie. Yeah, Joe
there we
Robbie.
go. There we go.
Pro player.
Pro player stadium, hard,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
The Hard Rock. Now it's the Hard Rock. Yeah. It's had like
So-
4 names though. I think in its history.
Oh yeah, the naming rights have flipped and flipped and flipped.
1-year deals, baby.
Yeah, you
In
gotta love it.
addition to that roof they have put over the seating.
It's nice though. It's nice. It gets a little hot in there. It's a little hot in there.
They engineered it to have an effect. So yeah, I get your point. So that's that. Okay, so that's the Black Bowl de facto. That's Notre
Yeah.
Dame and Penn State.
Yeah, 2 real black schools.
Yeah, I mean, here in Nashville, we have some ties to James Franklin. He's our former Vanderbilt coach.
Right.
Happy to see him succeed and kind of shed just a little bit of that specter of not being able to win the big game. He's won at least a big game now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
The second game was a big game. The first game was not, but the second game was a big game.
Sure, I agree. I agree. So that's a great matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing that game. We are complicated in our feelings for Notre Dame. I feel. I think we can all agree there. Chris, we had a discussion. I want to know your input on because I swear I associate you with Ty Willingham for some reason. Am I wrong in that?
That was my team during the dark ages of that long 17-year and 6-day period between when Mr. Stallings was carried off on the shoulders of the Crimson Tide.
Oh, I thought you just played with them on the game. I didn't know that was actually your team. I'm sorry.
On January 1st, 1993 in the Superdome.
What a glorious
after defeating Miami in the USF&G Sugar Bowl.
The USF&G Sugar Bowl. I love it.
USF&G Sugar Bowl. I love that.
From January 1st, 1993 until 17 years and 6 days later, which would be 15 years and 1 day ago, in that glorious night in Pasadena, California, when Nick Saban was almost concussed with a Gatorade container. It was a long time.
Yeah.
It was a painful time. So I rooted for a coach who I felt would need a lot of support in Ty Willingham. Okay. But when they cheated him and only gave him 3 years, they let Bob Davie go like 5-7 and 7-5 and just be mediocre for 5 years. Every other coach was allowed to just come in there after Lou Holtz. Just
Charlie White's
mediocre. And then Charlie White gets a raise in the first year for doing what Ty did. But then Charlie Weiss goes and loses to Navy, not only for the first time in 37 years to end the longest streak in NCAA history, but then loses to him again. And then to watch did Brian Kelly get a raise for the same thing at one point?
Yeah.
And the same and similar-ish with Mike Norvell at Florida State. Doing the same thing.
The mediocrity is allowed to exist,
And I would say, Coach Taggart did. And so, I forgot that I said, the only way I will forgive Notre Dame is when they hire a black coach and give him the 5 years plus the 2 that Ty was supposed to get. So I still forget. I've been angry at them for a long time. I forget. But nevertheless, it's something about seeing James Franklin take a program like a Vanderbilt, who I am surprisingly not angry with, even though, since when did we get players from New Mexico and then let them stay an extra year at Vanderbilt? But whatever,
I got some inside information on that. My my DP works over there in that department, and they're competitive. I'll put it that way.
And I think once Vanderbilt reestablished an actual Department of Athletics and pulled it back out of student activities with athletic director I want to say her
Candace
name's
Lee.
Candace Lee,
Candace,
who is from
yes, from
Madison
South
County,
Carolina.
Alabama,
Oh well,
homegirl.
yes, true.
Of no relation, let me be
The
clear.
mother of my DP.
Ah, well,
So
we are not related. We might have come from the same plantation, but we're not related.
no relation, right?
No
Okay.
relation.
Yeah.
But no, to see that their program do well and what James Franklin did with them back in the day, and to go to Penn State to do with them and to continue with them after Joe Paterno's ouster and then post Bill O'Brien era. I want James Franklin to succeed. I do.
Fair enough.
And I like Marcus Freeman too.
Yeah.
But as far as tomorrow's game, we are Penn State.
Okay.
That'll be my pick.
Okay.
I like both coaches, but I just I feel like James Franklin is almost getting the Mike Tomlin treatment. Go figure, about in the same state, the same Commonwealth.
Yeah,
and so
that's a good catch there. Yeah,
and so I want him to win something big. Penn State kind of got. I won't say they got cheated in '94, but they had a great team, a great offense, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But Nebraska wins the national championship, and so you go back to '86 and Ty Blackledge for Penn State for their last officially claimed championship.
Wow,
And so
that's a deep pull.
and so let's put a bow on that. 39 years later, I would like to see James Franklin win it all.
Joe, what are your thoughts?
Well, what year was that with Joe Pa and Bowden in the Orange Bowl? They were just so old. They just don't. Paterno
Was that
sat there with
06?
him. Paterno sat there with him as he did the interview. The
Oh,
post game.
yeah, I remember that. It was like a joint interview. Like
it was like
they didn't care who won or lost.
Yeah, they were just kind of like, "Hey, man, we're both here."
Yeah, just here. Happy to be here.
Like Paterno was not leaving Bowden's side. Like Bowden won the game, I think, and Paterno wasn't leaving his side. I that's still like burned in my brain.
And I think Bowden was keeping him there too.
He was holding on to him, but
Yeah.
it was like, but he didn't walk away. But anyway, so back to this. So you were asking the question. I always write Penn State off because Franklin can never win the big one. And now with the 12-team format, he had probably the easiest road.
He did.
Penn State did. I mean, not he, but he is Penn State, right? So they had the easiest road. So they're supposed to be here. They should have beaten SMU. I think they'd still beat SMU if that game is in Dallas at Omby or at AT&T or at the Cotton Bowl. I think they still beat. They're just bigger and stronger and faster. I still think they beat SMU. If it's 5 games, I think maybe SMU gets 2, but maybe one or one. But they were just far more talented.
Sure.
Having said that, Notre Dame, I was able to watch a little bit of them, a few of their games this past year. After the NIU game, the entire country wrote them off. Freeman was vilified and roasted horribly, and rightfully so. You lose to NIU. You're not supposed to, like when Appalachian State won, would win. You're not supposed to lose that game, right? You're not supposed to lose the pay games, right?
Sure.
But sometimes you do. And you're dealing with these daggone 18 to 22, 23-year-olds.
Yeah, man.
And so, things happen. I like Freeman, and I like the way that Notre Dame was getting after it. I watched more of their games than I did Penn State. Penn State just bores the Jesus. I can't.
Yeah.
It's like they've always been just so horrified by Penn State.
Just very milk toast.
It is just so. Yeah, it is. It is. Yes. And when they were the all white, it's like, how boring could this be? Why would you ever go there? Why would you ever be there? I can't stand it. And so they're whiteouts. I just can't. But if we're just talking football straight up, they are bigger. They are pretty fast. They're very, very tough, very, very strong. But I'm going to go with Notre Dame. And I know the theory. There's theories that abound that this was probably their Super Bowl was the divisional round, I guess, as it were. But I liked how they played together, how they swarmed,
I'm
And
sure you did.
no, I'm just
No, I'm messing with you. I'm
on
messing
both
with you.
against Indiana and Georgia. Against
Yeah,
they're playing
yeah,
teams that wore red, so this
yeah,
may be the difference.
yeah.
They play they play a team wearing white and blue and
Uh,
navy. But yeah, so I'm going Notre Dame, and I hope that that Freeman's able to do his thing
yeah,
and be there and get here. So
yeah,
get here for
yeah,
the 20th.
yeah. Nah, yeah. I'm with you, Joe. I think that Notre Dame just matches up a little better. To your point about like the I think it's the coaching. I think it's what it comes down to. I think Marcus Freeman, he showed me a lot in that Georgia game, in terms of game planning, in terms of really having his guys motivated. They showed up and put the screws to Georgia to I mean, it's not our best team, but we still had a monster squad, and he put the
Mhm.
screws to him. So, and Penn State, to your other point, kind of, I mean, SMU, you can say what you want to say. They had a hell of a year, hell of a run, but they weren't. They were the number 12 team for a reason. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then there's the the uh the matchup against the Boise State, and Ashton Genty again, like, okay, I think that Penn State still has something to prove to me, whereas Notre Dame doesn't in my eye. You know what I mean? So I tend to I'm gonna side with Notre Dame in that matchup. So
Also,
the
I can't get like the Rudy. Dun, 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 dun. I can't get that out of my head right now. Like dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dun.
Well, I'm
I,
I'm forever happy that they did the job to old North Avenue in that
yeah,
film. So yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you are.
You, one, I do need to get this on the record since we're talking about Saturday ball and the
Uh-huh.
playoff.
Yes, yes. Oh, hey
Bring
man, I
back the
forgot Saturday ball and
BCS.
Sunday ball.
Turn the machines back on. This is not a joke.
It would be Georgia and Oregon, and I would have no problem with that.
That's fine. The SEC champion versus somebody else. That
Yeah,
worked for me.
yeah,
But no.
yeah.
Notre Dame beat the SEC champion, but I don't know. I would have an issue with a national champion who lost to Northern Illinois that season.
Well, you know, I mean, I hear you. I hear you. But that's why they do want to put some emphasis on, playing the entire schedule and, later games having some significance. It'll be a blemish for sure if they get that far. But, we'll see. The premier matchup in my eyes is the
such,
University of Texas at
such,
Austin Longhorn.
such a black. These blacks. These blacks. You don't
Thank you,
get that. You
Livia.
don't get that one, Chris.
Thank
You
you,
don't get that.
Livia.
You don't get that one, Chris.
These blacks.
That's what the
That's
Sopranos.
Livia Soprano all
That's
day.
Livia Soprano. Go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead. And
But yeah,
me
yeah.
and Christian and I send that one back and forth to each other too. But go
I
ahead.
love it. That seems like a
These
very Christian thing to do.
blacks.
Shout out to YQ.
Yeah, shout out to that.
But yeah, so Texas versus the Ohio State.
Mhm. Yes.
And we're gonna give Texas the SEC designation here, and
That's where we play. We play in
because I
the
know there's been a
SEC.
lot of controversy about that throughout the season in our groups,
Has
in
there
our discussions.
has there been controversy?
Yeah, I mean,
Controversy?
there's been some ribbing about the
Oh,
schedule you were given versus and you
a
play
lot.
who they line up,
So
right?
much conversation about that. Yeah.
You
That's not
play
so
who they
much
line up
my
in front of you, right?
that's not so much my issue. They act like the Notre Dame of the conference, like they just happen to play SEC schedule, but they're independent.
Well,
Okay.
maybe we're a transition conference from them until they reinstitute the
Controversy.
Southwest Conference. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Who knows? I saw a write up that had like a new realignment that reinvigorated and reinvented the Southwestern Conference, and
I
so
wish you all the best of luck on that, but we're here.
You're here.
We're here to
I'm
take
all for bringing back.
as many championships as we possibly can across the board.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
I'm
Well,
here for bringing back the SWC with the addition of Oklahoma And
And
yeah, I mean
Arkansas,
Arkansas is
can
almost SEC at this point, but I mean they could have them back too.
They're the first. They're the
And,
first ones. They're the first ones to go.
and in honor of 35, Rice and Texas should play every year.
Why does Rice play Texas?
You can go to the moon, and Texas can play Rice.
Yeah. But Joe, I'm
Yes,
interested
sir.
in your thoughts, man. Like, I mean, this you proudly wear the banner of the Longhorns as long as I've known you. As a matter of fact, I associate you more with the Longhorns than anything except for maybe the Dallas Mavericks. So
Sure, and I appreciate that. Thanks for saying so. I obviously I'm, we don't have a chance. I feel like Strahan in '07. We're just here. You know what I'm saying? How Strahan. I don't know if you remember.
I remember
Like,
very well. Him and Tuck.
Yeah, we're just
We're
here.
just happy to be here.
We're just happy to be here.
Mhm.
We're not supposed to be here. Our schedule. We're not an SEC team. We're not UT. We're soft. We're all these. Okay, all right. Just keep it up. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep talking. Laugh it up. For a ball, laugh it up.
Right, laugh it up, Furball.
So we just
So
reopen 18-year wounds over here.
So I'm saying that to say, much. This is not the same team from 2005 that played in January 2006. Okay, but we weren't supposed to win that game. They had a whole. ESPN did a whole a show about the greatest teams ever, and they did a thing on the greatest team ever. So this Ohio State team, they come out gangbusters. They are hitting on all cylinders, and I agree. They are rough and tough, and a tough out. I still go with Texas. Texas fight, and it's goodbye to A&M. Thank gosh, and we'll get over one more win. I think we're strong, we're fast, we're ready, and we'll let the chips fall. All we have, it doesn't have to be pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be pretty at all. All we got to do is win by one. So I think we shocked the world in Arlington, beautiful Arlington, Texas, and which will be a very pro-Texas crowd, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry Goodgame. Game is going to that game.
Nice.
Yes. So pro-Texas crowd and Henry. But no, I think Texas wins, and particularly after last week's, after Arizona State, the running, scatterboo, and the running and the things that they did,
barfing on the sidelines.
Yeah, but after that running display, I think you shore those things up, and we'll just see how it goes.
Okay.
So I want to say something real quick because since we're here to talk about Sunday ball, and Brother Joe decided to blend two in a very, very painful moment in my Sunday ball following there. The only thing I want to say now is, as they say, College Station, so varsity's horns off. Because see, you could have talked about the Longhorns without making a reference to the New Jersey Giants of that 2006 season. That's all I want to say. Or 2007 season.
Yeah,
I could have, but you do know, since if I can counter, that was the first time I ever heard anybody say, we're not, you know what? We're not even supposed to be. That was the first time I heard somebody say that. Him doing that took the pressure. You know what I'm saying? It took the pressure off of everyone else, in my opinion, when he did that. And it was just like, okay, let's just go play the game. Let's just
it's good sports psychology.
But that was a Sunday ball team quarterbacked by Eli Manning and got in as a wild card. We're not talking about
Hall of Fame finalist Eli Manning.
But we're not talking about a Texas Longhorn team that is a legit, arguably top 4 team in the country.
Thanks for arguing. Arguably, we are a top 4 team. We're
literally
we're in the final
manner
4
of losing twice to Georgia that kind of kept y'all out the top 4. But
well, not anymore.
Fair.
We're in the final 4.
Yeah, you are. Conference. Lee, who you like in the game, man?
I mean, now I want to root for one of those northern ball teams, but
go ahead, enjoy it. Obviously, we don't care.
Right.
We have as much money.
Texas
We have as
defense
much bravado.
has still some questions to me. But they are in Arlington. But Ohio State doesn't necessarily care where they play.
No.
Ohio has a chip on their shoulder. If Sark loses the game, he will have his job on Monday. Ryan Day loses his job. Loses
It's
the
over for
game.
him. Yeah.
We're discussing whether or not he has a job. I'll take Ohio by a touchdown.
Okay. Well, you alone again, because I'm with Joe. I think that the things are lining up for Texas to first of all, it's a home game de facto. Let's put that all the way out there. I mean, Ohio travels well. They'll be there for sure.
They'll be there. Yeah.
They'll be there. Our good friend Marcus, will Marcus be there? Is he making
I don't know if he's going to. I don't have 2 in there. I don't know if he can get 2 in there.
Okay, fair enough. But I mean, they travel to that point. They travel, so they'll be representative. But it's going to be burnt orange in there, and I think that you talked about the defense. They certainly be bolstered by having Taft present. I think he should not be playing the first half, based on that non-call on the targeting at the end of the last game. But
it targeted us. It targeted us, didn't call a daggone thing.
Yeah, that's true.
As well. And the crown is up here, and he hit right here. But it's cool.
Okay. But cool. I mean, it's like bowling balls and grenade. It doesn't matter.
I hear you. No,
it's like a cow's opinion. It's a moot point. So you guys we'll be having the full complement of your defense. I've seen y'all's defense more than I care to see it this season, and it's formidable. You guys got some future Sunday ballers, as you like to say, Chris. Some guys that'll be playing ball on Sunday for sure. I like Ewers' moxie. He's not always the most accurate quarterback, but when it comes down to it and when it's time, he makes it happen. And so all said, I like Texas's chances to get by. I think it's going to be a close game. I think maybe a field goal. And the young man on that sideline also has a lot to prove. Bert, what's Bert's last name? Joe, your kicker, Bert Austin, something like that. Bert,
I can't remember right now. Yeah, I'm at a loss. I apologize.
He didn't have his best showing against Arizona State, to my point. So he's got something to prove. And he was my horrible. Favorite moment in that game actually was when Sark was coaching him up. And
that was beautiful, by the way.
That was like, I mean, you talk about like the differences between Saturday ball and Sunday ball. That was it right there. Yeah. And even though he missed that kick after that now, but
he did.
But it was still
like, what are you doing in the world with your life? Yes.
Yeah. But it still reminded me of what the big difference is between those sets of games, those Sunday games and those Saturday games, and why it's so important.
True.
So yeah, I'm pulling for Texas. So
as well you should. Gentleman and a scholar.
We're moving along then to we said we're going to have the MVP discussion before the picks, right? Yeah. So
yeah,
MVP discussion. And so Chris, I'd like to know your thoughts on your top 3 for the MVP, and who you would choose, who you would select if you had the vote.
Lamar Jackson is definitely there.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
And this last one, I'm gonna make an interesting. This is where my debate would be for a third, but he wouldn't be the MVP necessarily. Either I'm just at a brain on here. Quarterback in Tampa Bay.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Or
okay.
Well, it couldn't be for the whole league, but I'm gonna do a 3 for you. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. Oh no, Baker Mayfield to Sam Darnold. The other one I was thinking about it first. I'm thinking out loud, so y'all hear the thought process.
Sure.
I almost wanted to go with Younghoe Koo because he would have been the absolute difference on whether or not the Falcons made the playoffs and possibly a 5 seed. had he been present.
So now we all have some scabs that have been pulled off. That's fine. Okay. All right.
Well, I'm not trying to rip off scabs there, but I think
No.
how the Falcons season went showed how important he is to that team and how it could have shaped the playoffs. Sam Darnold, nobody had high expectations of him in Minnesota, and for them to come into a Week 18 game with 14 wins, Baker, and some weeks he had Tampa Bay looking like a world beater. But Lamar has just been outstanding.
Absolutely.
I know some people want to easily go with Allen up there in Buffalo, but yeah. but I like Jaden Daniels more. He's really turned around the Commanders franchise.
Sure.
The people up there believe it. It's not like, all right, let's wait till this. Hopefully we can do better next year. But no, there's hope. I think Washington has a chance, and I think Buffalo has a chance. And I really think with all the players I mentioned, all of those teams had a chance, including had Atlanta made it, even with Youngway. Like, hey, it comes down to it. We're gonna go down here, we're gonna get down here to the 40-yard line, and we're gonna win this game. And so
I'm crying on the inside and outside. Karate Man bruise on the inside, man.
But overall, tough. I would have to go with Lamar.
Okay.
Because I think not only is he integral to Baltimore, if there's any year where Baltimore is going to get it done, and because of him, because of leadership and seeing him maturing this season, this will be it. And it would be a significant part because of him. I would have to lean Lamar Jackson.
Okay. Fair enough. Joe, your top three and who you would pick.
And thank you, Chris, for that. And thank you, Calvin. Thank you, Chris, for that explanation. I've got Saquon Barkley. Well, let me back this up. What is an MVP? What are we? That I think that's really been the big question.
Absolutely.
And I've listened to black men quickly discredit or push aside the excellence and the execution of several black men to rush to quickly crown Josh just because. And I cannot really understand that and just kind of look at the stats like they don't count, like it's no big deal. Like, huh? No one's done what he's doing. No one's done what Lamar is doing. Josh is exceptional too, but it's not like, oh, it's now Josh's turn. No, this isn't the Oscars. This is we literally know. Like this, that's why I hate about these writers awards anyway. But if we literally look at what is an MVP? In my opinion, it's the best player on the best team. Okay, so if you're saying Josh is the best player, is the MVP, then that means the Bills are supposed to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and no one is saying, to my knowledge, that the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that in a while. I just hear Josh for the MVP. It's like you're going to default and give the man the award.
Yeah, because he hadn't earned it yet.
Right, as a consolation prize. And then I keep hearing, well, look at Lamar's playoff stuff. He's played 6 playoff games. Josh played 10. How many Super Bowls do they both have?
The same 0. Yeah.
So I hate, and it's not Josh's fault. It's not Lamar's fault. It's not their fault. This is just I'm just talking the way the talking heads are just and the pundits are all talking around it.
Sure.
But Josh has had a marvelous season. He would be in my top 3. And so it's Saquon. It's in my opinion, it's either the best. So the MVP is either the best player on the best team, or just the person who's played the best the entire season. Okay, so if you look at the best player on the best team, who's the best team in the NFL? I'm gonna ask you, Calvin. Who's the best team in the NFL?
Kansas City Chiefs all day.
And who's the best player on that team?
Patrick Mahomes all day.
Okay, Chris Lee. Who's the best team in the NFL? Is there one? It's this week.
You know, I'm going to take the easy way out. We'll know that second Sunday in February.
Oh gosh, darn it!
No, I'm not
So
going to
let's
do
just
that.
say it's like Detroit. Let's say it's Detroit.
No, I don't.
Because you thought it was a blip, huh? You thought that was a blip because you mentioned Darnold, so you thought it might have been a blip. Let's just say it's Sam Darnold. Let's say it's Minnesota. Who's the best player in Minnesota? Is it Darnold or is it Jefferson? That's a name I haven't heard once.
Yeah,
Or,
but
or why are we talking about Jamar Chase?
yeah,
What has Jamar Chase been doing?
Triple Crown winning
Triple
Jamar
Crown
Chase.
winning Jamar
Yes.
Chase. Like,
Yeah.
and then of course you got Joe Burrow, but yeah, you can't have that record and be the MVP.
Yeah.
You can't lose to New England. I'm sorry, Chris. You can't lose to New England and be the MVP. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't lose to Gerard Mayo got fired. You can't do that. Right?
Signature win.
Okay, all that. I didn't even hear what you said, but yes, I agree. So the point being, so my question is, is the MVP the best player overall or the best player on the best team? I'm gonna just go with, for the sake of this argument, I'm gonna go with the best player overall. So the best players overall, in my opinion, have been Saquon, Lamar, and Josh. And my MVP, and my MVP is Lamar. He was my quarterback in fantasy football. I won the fantasy football championship.
Congratulations, Joe. I was going to mention that, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for welcoming to the circle of winners that you are already in.
You're the best addition to that group ever.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. After you, thank you. Thanks for making room for me there. So in my opinion, it is Lamar. Much like you said, Chris, I'm with it. I think Lamar has been the best player from week 1 to week 18. Call it a day, and I just think he's played the best.
Yeah. So for me, I love the fact that we're discussing and kind of relitigating what the MVP and what it means to be the MVP. Because for so many years the narrative is like, this is the guy who, puts up gaudy numbers, yada yada, and usually is on a winning team, you know what I mean? Adrian Peterson, he won one year when they weren't great. I think they went like 9-6-1 or something like that year when he was MVP. But I digress. I think that it has become basically a quarterback dog and pony show. You know what I mean? And there's this sense of entitlement that Josh needs to win one for his narrative or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? And I don't see it. I mean, I agree. He Lord knows he's destroyed me in some fantasy leagues. He's made it to some AFC championship. He's made it to at least one AFC championship game, has he not? Was it? Or no, they actually have not. They've lost in the divisional rounds, right?
Yeah, they lost the divisional round. They weren't. No. I thought he went one year. They lost. They lost out there. They lost in. I think he's made it once.
Did they lose to
Josh Allen? Was that the year they lost to Cincinnati?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, they lost to. Yeah, that was their shot. That's what. Because remember, if you remember, we thought that was. Remember, the thing was the door is closed.
Yeah. The
whole point was like, well,
absolutely. So, but I mean, I think he deserves to be the top 3 for me. He's number 3. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's number 3 for me. I think Saquon. And see, here's where I want to have this discussion about how they always give it as a consolation prize, the offensive player of the year. That's what they do. Yeah. Offensive player of the year is the consolation prize for somebody for a running back usually, or maybe
DeMarco Murray. I believe he was offensive player of the year. That he went berserk. I believe. I know Chris is going to look it up. My own Elias Sports Bureau. But it was Rodgers, Romo, and then the MVP voting went Rodgers, Romo, and then Murray.
Murray, right?
And I think Murray was like offensive player of the year or second or something like that. He's definitely all pro. The number 1 all pro. But the point being is like this is the default down. This is the prize for being the top running back.
It's crazy. And like when you look at what Saquon did this year, he had the flashiest play, one of the craziest play I've ever seen when he did the backward.
He ran backwards and jumped backwards over somebody.
He made the difference between a team that was floundering last year. If we recall like how the Eagles looked at the end of last year and this year, you know what I mean? Like it's a world of difference. He sat out and we can litigate this whole 16 versus 17 game season, whatever the case is, right? But he went over 2,000 yards in 16 games.
In 16 games.
So, like I think you got to give some credit to that guy. I mean, he really he came to Philadelphia and did exactly what was expected of him there. Right. So, for me, he's my number 2. And I agree with Lamar as number 1. And here's the thing. like I saw the side by side comparison of last year's stats and this year's stats. It's so far ahead of where he was last year. It's crazy. Like his numbers this year below last year's numbers out of the water. The team looks better this year. And I know some people are saying, like, Derrick Henry, yada, yada. I say, okay, you got that. But also, Lamar still has to be slinging that rock. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And look who he's slinging the rock to.
Not to
Exactly.
mention the running,
Zay Flowers.
the running. Yeah, he doesn't have.
He
Does
didn't have
not
Mark
have.
Andrews the whole year.
He
He
does it
doesn't have
all.
stud receivers. He has one stud receiver,
He
Mark Andrews.
I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, but I mean, nobody's exactly picking the Baltimore receivers like right off the rip.
Look,
Nobody is
Baltimore, for
picking
the
Baltimore
very first
receivers.
time in that franchise history, has a all-pro wide receiver, or excuse me, Pro Bowl wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's never happened for them. And I grant you that I don't think Zay Flowers makes the Pro
So
Bowl
maybe Anquan.
without right. Right. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Lamar is doing things that, I think that sometimes we just need to get our heads out of our posteriors and just give the award to who deserves the award. And I think Lamar has shown, that like as far as the most valuable player, where would Baltimore be without Lamar?
Right. And that's the same way I looked at Saquon Barkley, where I think Philly still wins the NFC East this year.
Yeah,
even if Saquon is not.
But they're not a threat. I mean, because they're the same Philly team from last year, essentially.
I think they split with Washington. I don't know if they split with Washington this year.
Yeah.
I think they split with Washington. But I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
So I just think that, I hate that the narrative is taking on the tone that it has, especially the entitlement part of it is what bothers me the most.
Like, why is he owed anything?
Who is Josh Allen to have to be owed an MVP? Like, so what? Who like why does he have to have that as a part of his lore and his story? You know what I mean? Like let the man win some games that matter.
I don't understand how this writers award has so much emphasis is put on this writers award from writers.
Yeah.
As opposed to a game that literally you do not have any doubt or question or anything whatsoever. Like it's X's and O's, it's math. Who won?
Right.
Who had more points?
Did Lamar play Josh Allen this year? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Who won that game?
I think Lamar did, didn't he?
Absolutely, he did. You know what I mean?
But the head-to-head thing is interesting too.
I mean, they don't play each other. We've talked about that.
But I'm with you. But that's the one thing I haven't been hearing about. By the way,
right.
By the way, and I listened to first thing this morning. And I thought to myself, are you guys really going to just bypass all this stuff? Like, I can't understand.
Wow.
And that's the other thing that I was going to say is that when did the standard for excellence drop? How is it so malleable that it's going to work for the narrative? Look, Dan Marino, Dan Fouts,
right,
all them yards, all them touchdowns,
they weren't MVPs.
All them first downs. We're not MVPs, right? And the other thing is, nobody said, "Oh, it's their time." No, they had to go win it.
There you go.
It's so interesting to me. We talk about participation trophies and things. There have always been participation trophies. There have always been multiple color ribbons. Let's not act like that's new. There have always been a lot of ribbons and a lot of participation trophies on it. It's not new.
Yeah.
Having said that, society did not reward that though. At these stakes. And so it's so interesting to me to hear this that Josh is owed this. It's a disservice and disrespectful, in my opinion, to Josh for his outstanding play. No, his play, it's been amazing. The biggest
by
story,
merit, he's in the discussion.
Yes, the biggest story is his play has led them to 13-4.
Sure.
That's the story. Why does it have to come with this default MVP? Because you good and well know they can't beat no damn Kansas City, and you good and well know they could lose to the Ravens, or if they get caught the right way or the wrong way, they just might get their butts kicked at home by Denver. And then what you gonna do? And then I don't mean to jump ahead, but I'm saying and then that's gonna be even louder.
That's a perfect segue, actually, my
That's
brother.
gonna be even louder.
I hear you. I
Oh,
hear you, and I'm
but
with
he's
you.
the MVP though. Oh, yep, that's your MVP. I
No,
can't.
yeah, right, exactly,
Oh, I
exactly.
cannot wait.
I'm gonna be
Okay,
out there like Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther.
yeah, it's your king.
It's your MVP. Like, for real. Yeah, I agree. That's a perfect segue, man, to jump into these picks for this these wild card games, man. I love this format, man. It's grown on me. I'm so happy about 6 games. The only thing I hate is that there's a Monday game. I really think that last game should be Sunday night, but
I agree with you. I agree with you. Why not go 1-4-8? Like, come on, man.
yeah,
This is a lot. That's
yeah,
that Monday is. I don't mind it. I wouldn't have minded it if it was like King Weekend.
right,
You know what I mean? Because like
yeah,
you have the day off anyway.
yeah,
I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, you're going to be doing service. Chris is probably going to be on a parade somewhere, and I'll
yeah.
probably be
Yeah.
cleaning out
It's our it's
No,
our
they
it's
call
our
it something
chapter
different in my
it's our
state, but
it's
that's
our
what it
20th
is.
chapter anniversary for
yes,
Charter Day. So we'll be
even
watching
better.
the championship game together as brothers.
Even better.
Root to the good bros.
Even better. There he is.
QLL.
There he is. There he is. Shout him out.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead, Calvin. I'm sorry.
No.
I
So
agree with you. I like this format too. I just want to say that because it's that's what I was saying when it kicks off the Thursday Orange Bowl, Friday Cotton Bowl.
yeah.
In those two, the winners of those two games obviously uh, lead to the college football playoff championship,
Hmm.
which will be here
Yeah.
on the where I am in Atlanta on the
Yeah.
20th. I'm going to the game. Very excited about that.
Nice.
Thank you. And so that's huge Thursday and Friday, right? Then you get into all that Sunday ball, as Chris says, that starts on Saturday and then flow. It is a marathon though, because it's like,
Yeah.
no, one more game. And like,
Oh yeah.
no, bro, it's one
Oh
more
yeah.
game. But yeah, it's one more game.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. So that first game, they might as well call this the Houston Invitational at this point. Because the Texans
They
are hosting
always the
always
early
that.
game,
Yeah.
the game
Yeah.
no one wants to watch. Oh, there's a game. The game's already on.
Yeah. Right.
That's that game.
Oh, there's a playoff game today. Okay. But it's 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. The
Sucker
Texans of
time.
Houston are hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are a 2.5 point favorite. Joe, we'll start with you. Who you like in that matchup?
I've watched a lot of Texans games. I watched the Chargers up close, who cheated us. We got cheated by them, so I hate them.
We're handicapping ourselves.
We were missed a couple field goals there by Mr. Koo, who Chris Lee happened to mention.
MVP.
Yes, the MVP, the MVP of the season. I think it's more Bijan or Drake, but I digress. In the words of Chris Lee. Um, Having said that, I'm going to go with the. And I just want to say this: I am so tired of the Harbaugh
I know you
filleting,
are.
filleting.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm so tired of it.
Yeah. They
Um,
glazing them, as they say.
yeah, glazing is probably much better. I'm so tired of the glazing of Harbaugh. I just thought, but I'm sending this to my dad. Oh well, Dad. Oh yeah, I'm 50. So
Dr. Carlos, we love you, man.
I'm so tired of
You're a man. You're 50.
I'm a man. I'm 50. Of the glazing though. It's like let's get through a season first.
Yeah.
It goes back to what I was saying before.
Yeah.
Just going to the game makes you a Super Bowl. Whoa, whoa, slow down. You did get to the game, no question, but you lost the game.
Mhm.
You got out coached by your little brother, the special teams coach. Got out coached by your little brother. Okay. Or by your big brother, excuse me, by your big brother.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You got out coached. Okay, fine. It's been a long time since he's been back there. I'm gonna go. Houston's been disappointing, man. I don't know if Stroud. They've been disappointing, and
Yeah.
I think the Chargers are peaking at the right time, and I think the Texans are devolving at the wrong
Hmm.
time, and
Hmm.
they're going to get caught out there.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think the Chargers are going to go into Houston and win the Houston Invitational. So I'm going with the Chargers,
All right.
the
Chris,
Bolts.
how you feeling?
You know, the Bolts can show some slowness from time to time, but I do think they have the offensive weapons and getting their receivers back together. I want to say not
Hmm.
Quentin Johnson.
Hmm.
He's WR2. It'll come to me later on, but
it should come to mind real quickly for you. He's the
I had
SEC.
my pick, but I don't think this will be the Texans' year to get out of the
Okay.
wild card round. I think the Bolts will go ahead and get them. The Texans have kind of tapered off as the season is going on. They've had a good season. It's been a good run. This is not their year.
Mhm.
I have the Los Angeles Chargers advancing on Saturday.
All right. All right. Well, everybody's on the Chargers. Everybody's I'm on the Chargers too. I think, with all due respect to our good friends Antoy Bell and King Malachi Sims,
Yeah,
those Houstonites that we love dearly.
very much.
I think that the points have been made pretty saliently by you guys. I love D'Amico Ryans as well. I want to see him succeed. Um, Stroud's been a mystery to me, and I know he's been under some duress. Like the offensive line play has been kind of bad this year.
Beating that boy up, beating
Yeah,
that
they've
boy
been beating him
down.
up. But like there's also this phenomenon that has happened this year. One of the podcasts that I listened to, the Ringer Fantasy Football podcast, talked at length about how he kind of big brothers these quarterbacks when he's talking to them at the end of the games. And he did that with Caleb Williams, like trying to coach him up. And it's like, man, you're a year ahead of me. Like chill out.
Might not even be older than him.
I don't think he is older than Caleb. And Caleb's got a Heisman, but I digress. It's wild to me. Like I don't know if he got a little bit ahead of his skis or whatever. The defense hasn't looked as great. Maybe your boy, your Will is hurt. Maybe I don't know. I
He
don't know
has
what's
been hurt,
happening
but he
there.
has been hurt. He's been hurt. He's been in and
Okay,
out.
that's fair. And so Mixon's coming back. Mixon looks, they're without Tank Dell. There's questions about how healthy Nico Collins is. It's not lining up for Texans at all. It's not. It's not lining up for them. They got blown out last year in the same game. You know what I mean? So, it's not. I wouldn't be wagering any money on the Texans at all. Um, I think it's going to be a laugher. Lad McConkey
Yes,
going
that's what I was thinking of.
have
Thank
him a
you.
good game. He's already had his coming out party, as it were. But
Mhm.
the media darling. We were talking about media darlings. The next one to be on the watch is Justin Herbert. Just watch and
Yep.
see. They're going to
Oh
start,
yeah. Yeah.
elevating him to that Josh Allen status, especially if he gets a win
They
under his
can't
belt.
wait. They
Yeah,
can't wait to do it.
he's been the statistical analytical guy for about 3 years now. So,
Mhm.
but that being said, and again, I'm also with you on the hardball talk, Joe. I'm not, but when the matchup is right, and it is, you can't deny that. I think the
Yeah.
Chargers are going to win that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. The next game, 8 p.m. on Prime Video,
Mhm.
is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. That bloody clash. Like we've
Ooh.
seen this so many times over the years, but this has definitely changed.
Ooh.
Yeah. Chris, the spread is 9.5 to the Ravens. Who you like?
Who do I like, or do I agree with the spread? I think those are
Whatever argument you want to make.
two different questions.
Like,
I'm a huge fan of Mike Tomlin, and
mhm.
I will reserve my comments for the next portion of our discussion. But oh gosh, we're gonna have to hear from those Steeler trolls who want him gone, and I don't know who they want to replace him with in the coup.
Let it happen
But
for them.
McCarthy.
Yeah.
but
Let it happen. They deserve it. Like what happened in the national election, but I digress.
uh,
Give them what they asked for.
it took everything in me to refrain from the reference, and I'm gonna still withhold it. But Baltimore gets it done without question. I think 9.5. I think you can take the over on that one personally.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Pittsburgh that second half of the season, but Baltimore is really good. I love Mike Tomlin. I love what he does for the Steelers, but this is not the year that the playoff streak ends,
Yeah. Yeah.
or playoff losing streak ends rather.
I get you. The drought continues in your opinion. Okay. Joe.
I agree, Chris. Baltimore 12-5 is interesting that's their record. They're not. They're. I know you are what your record says you are, but they're a far better team than 12-5. They're probably one of the stronger 12-5 teams ever because of the guy that we mentioned before, who I hope wins back-to-back MVPs and his third MVP. But Baltimore is just hitting on all cylinders in a way that Pittsburgh is not.
Mhm.
I've watched a lot of their football in the last 5 6 weeks, and they're just going in two different directions. They know it.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it, and I'm sure they're going to try to summon something there. We got to rally the troops. Look, you're not getting any bigger. You're not getting any faster before 8 p.m. on Saturday, and it is what it is. It's going to be cold. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be tough. And I think this might be a laugher. I don't think it'll be as bad as their last game, but I think this one they'll be going away like, golly, they couldn't do more than this. I really, as strong as Pittsburgh as they've showed these flashes of brilliance throughout the season, and somehow Mike has gotten to 10-7 in spite of themselves. Um, other outside of TJ and Cam, you don't really hear a lot about you don't hear about that second level,
Hmm.
and you surely don't hear about that third level on defense for them. And I think that's where Lamar is going to have his way. Not to mention, King Henry will be just eating
Yeah.
them up in chunks.
Yeah.
And there's been no answer for Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So I don't see that there would be one. I don't see a new answer for Derrick. It'd be like Christmas Day or day whatever that was, Christmas Day all over again with the running, the way he
Hmm.
was running, man. I don't what there's they've not improved in any way since Christmas. So I don't understand how this would be really any different.
Yeah.
So having said that, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're in agreement again. I'm with the Ravens in a laugher. There was a lot of talk about how Mike Tomlin tends to cover these spreads. And I mean, they can cover that spread and still lose, but I don't think
Yeah,
it's
they could.
happening.
I don't think they're covering the spread. That's
I
just
don't think
dumb.
they're covering the spread. I think this is going to be a blowout for many of the reasons you guys have already quite eloquently stated. I think that Kyle Hamilton's coming on strong right now, looking like he's in good form on the
Hmm.
Baltimore defense.
Hmm.
I think
Which
that
has been suspect as a mug.
yeah, it has. That's why I was kind of making a point at the beginning. This is not the same Steelers Ravens like bloody nose matchup that it has been in the past with two stellar defenses going against
No,
each other.
no.
That ain't it. That ain't it no more. Now we want to talk about the decline of the Steelers offense. It's two things that I really want to point out. Number one, and I love all Georgia alums, but George Pickens is a problem, man. Like
He's
he's
a head
just
case.
yeah, he's a head case, a full head case, and he does some magical things with the ball.
He does.
But I really honestly think those two games where he sat out with the injury, quote unquote, nah, he was suspended. It was an in-house suspension because Tomlin's that dude. You know what I mean? And he ain't gonna make a fool out of him, especially because he's a head case. He's dealt with head cases before, Antonio Brown. You know what I mean? So he knows how to deal with those guys. And I think he did it in a discreet manner that I appreciate for sure. But Pickens, he's a problem. And the offense was going as how Pickens was going,
It
especially
hurts.
once Russ
It
got
hurts
there.
their football. To your point,
Yeah,
it
it
hurts their
absolutely
football when he's not there.
correct, correct. And he has to be there both in mind and body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I just don't think he could sustain it. He couldn't sustain it at Georgia. He's not able to sustain it as a pro now. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. Talent can carry you a lot of places. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? But
Hmm.
when the rubber hits the road, especially in the playoffs, that will expose a lot of those kind of things. So there's that. And then our guy FedEx Jr. You know, his his scheming, shenanigans. We got Cordero carrying the ball again out there. Like, he's throwing to like instead of throwing to Fryermuth, and then Fryermuth dropped a critical ball in that last game. But like he's cutesy, the cutesy stuff. It's not it. That's not it. And they're seeing now, what we saw for 3 years in Atlanta
Up
with
close and personal.
up close and personal with FedEx Jr.
I'm
So
paying for those meals. I'm paying for those meals.
I love you, Joe, man. Hey, so I think again, we're the Ravens are gonna Saturday's not gonna be very interesting to me. I
No,
think
it's gonna be boring.
those games, if you wanna, spend some time doing some pumpkin patching or whatever it is that you want to do, you might be able to do that.
No, it's gonna
Um,
be boring.
moving along to Sunday, 1 p.m. game, CBS/Paramount Plus. we got the Broncos of Denver, Sean Payton's boys, versus the Circle of Wagons, the Buffalo Bills. At Buffalo, the Bills are favored by 8.5. Chris, who you like?
Again, this is another one where I think you can take the over. Both are cold weather teams. Denver doesn't have the weapons, not this round. Buffalo gets it done at home. N- no Saturday bias here, but Bo Nix is not about to get it done this year.
Maybe a little Saturday bias, maybe a little bit.
1%.
He
But
played on the
just in case,
plains,
just to meet the obligations of the disclaimer. But
sure.
No, I mean, if Bo Nix can overcome a Buffalo defense, and for whatever, and if Josh Allen can't overcome the Denver defense, and I know everybody's like Denver defense, I'm like, really, if Josh Allen loses, that will further show why he's not the NFL MVP.
Okay. All right. Joe.
I think the Denver defense is real. I do think that Josh wins this game. I cannot see Sean McDermott's a strong coach. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see him losing to that smug SOB on the other sideline. I don't see it happening this time. I'd love for it to happen. And I think this is probably the one possible upset that could happen, just because when they get going, when Bo Nix gets going, it's something magical to watch. But I don't know if they can hang with them, because Josh can put up so many points so fast. I don't know if they could. I just don't know if they can hang with them like that
Yeah.
throughout the whole time. Particularly now, the good thing about this game is at 1 o'clock. That's the best thing about this game, because when they turn them lights on in Buffalo, Jack, it's already freezing cold, and they turn the lights on. That one section's like red. You know what I mean? It's a whole different kind of vibe. I know Kansas City's got the Jihad field, whatever, Arrowhead, does its thing, and there's all these other home field events. The Link is its thing, and the bank is its thing, But when they turn them red lights on at night, I have not watched Josh lose many of those games.
Yeah.
Okay. So
a good old Rich Stadium.
Yeah, Rich Stadium, right? In Orchard Park. Well, yeah, wherever it was.
Orchard Park, New York.
Orchard Park, New York. Right. So, having said that, I think that they eke it out, but I think they get bloodied up a lot more than people think they will be, because Denver kind of fell backwards into the playoffs, and most people haven't watched Denver. But I think people will be very surprised. I don't think Knicks is going to get rattled, though. I think he's gonna have a national coming out party. He won't be like Purdy, because Purdy was a story throughout the year, but it was Denver, so there were no, like you were mentioning before, Chris. There were no expectations. Like, I don't remember who you were mentioning about. Maybe it was about Buffalo. Our expectations were low to none, or maybe it was Washington. You mentioned Jaden Daniels. They were low to no. We had no expectations. But I still think that I think they'll play tough, but I think Buffalo prevails by 6 or 8 or something like that.
Okay. So you got the Broncos covering.
Yeah, I think they will, because they can put up points.
Okay. I'm with you, Joe. I like the Bills in this matchup. I think the Broncos are going to cover. I think it's going to be a closer match than a lot of people think. I have my best friend in the world now, Alexander, has tapes of the Denver Broncos going back to the 70s. Loves the Broncos, consumes Broncos. Yeah, I get you. Neither would I. He goes to away games. He went to at least 2. He went to Tampa. So we watched that Tampa game together in the sweltering heat, and kind of overdid it with the pregame brunch that we had, where there was an open bar. So I wasn't watching as intently as he was, but nonetheless, Knicks looks a lot better than I expected him to look.
Yes.
They got a what, a four-headed monster at running back at this point. Like, I mean, it's just like running back by committee. They're making it happen. Say what you will about Sean Payton. I have my thoughts on Sean Payton as a Falcons fan. I don't like him, but the man can coach. He's a hell of a coach.
Damn it, I respect you. Yes.
Right, exactly. I wouldn't use the R word either, but based on a
I
bounty
was,
date.
yes, I was, yes, I was.
But I get the reference.
Anchorman, of course.
Anchor, yes. Of course, Dorothy Mantu's son.
Dorothy Mantu's son, yes.
But yeah, man, I think that this is a closer game than people think. But and the Bills have looked kind of suspect towards the end of the year. I'd say, but and I got to a point where I almost forgot that they still have Von Miller.
I didn't know. Let me tell you something. Until there was Incentive Sunday.
Yeah.
I thought Von was in jail. I thought he was in jail for the aggravated assault.
It's real.
That's real. And I'm not being facetious. I didn't know Jimmy Garoppolo was in the league.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I didn't know Von. I didn't know Von was still playing ball.
Matt Milano is back. They're still missing one of the pieces in that Buffalo defense from earlier in the year. But they can be suspect. But I don't think that the Broncos are the ones to expose them fully. I think that the Bills escape with a win, and move on to the next round. And we're gonna have to hear that narrative for just a little bit longer. I also want to make mention that we talked about that Houston Invitational. Buffalo was the first guest in the Houston Invitational. I don't know if y'all remember that, like pre-pandemic, like 2019. There was a matchup of Josh Allen and Deshaun. I can't remember who won. Did Deshaun win that matchup?
I don't think so. I don't think he won a playoff game in Houston.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
They've
won a few of those games, but remember a lot of the times, like they would be having to play like Kansas City. Remember it was like a horrible draw, man. They'd be, and I can't remember who Kansas City would be losing to not be the number one, but they'd always get a tough draw. They could be a tough. I don't think Deshaun won, but you could. Check it out.
Kansas City was losing to Lee's team.
But I mean, no. But Kansas City, they were a division champ.
Oh yeah.
So maybe I'm misremembering that, but I do remember at least once or twice they had to go. Probably once they had to go down there and play against Watt and the boys, and they won.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely. That was that first year when they made that Super Bowl run. They were down about 14 points or 21 points actually.
Yeah, in Houston, right? Yeah,
no, it was in Kansas City. It was in Kansas City.
Okay, my bad.
And they made that massive comeback.
I misremembered that.
Because they also made a comeback against the Titans that same year. But anyway, I digress. All right, so the next matchup on Sunday, 4:30.
Don't be giving me over the mediocre head coaches. Don't get me going. About mediocre former head coaches about to get hired.
Who?
Sorry. Vrabel.
I don't think he's mediocre.
Okay. I don't know what he's done. I don't know what he's done.
He did a lot with a very, very, very bad franchise here in Tennessee.
I'm sure he did. I don't know what he's done.
They had nothing. They had table scraps, and he got them to the AFC Championship.
He did, and could not get it done.
Okay, Lee, yes.
My apologies. Let me just say, in 2020, Houston did defeat Buffalo in the wild card.
Okay, that's
my bad.
Well,
it was Watson. I apologize.
Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
But it was in Houston, right?
Yeah, that's the first Houston Invitational.
Got it. That's the first of the.
It was a Saturday afternoon game. I know because
my apologies to Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans and their fans.
I was in the Big Bear Diner somewhere in I think it was Emeryville, California, visiting some friends, visiting Carmen Brown and Kevin Brown and Kate Stedwell, and I remember watching that game at the Big Bear Diner. And thinking, man, this is an awful matchup. And as it were. At any rate,
the highlight of Deshaun's career.
Whole different life pre-pandemic. Yeah, indeed. So we got the Packers of Green Bay against the Philadelphia Eagles at 4:30 p.m. on Fox. The Eagles are favored by 4.5. Chris Lee, who you like?
I'm going Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. And 4.5, that's it.
4.5. This is closer than
That's because Hurts is still in protocol and Pickett's hurt too.
Yeah.
No, fly Eagles fly. Yeah, yeah. Don't. Yeah. Go and put. What is it that my fellow Alabamian says? I guarantee.
Okay.
What's that
And
guy's
had a
name?
little button right there. Charles Barkley.
Ah,
Oh,
yes.
oh, I thought it was
The
somebody
the
else
the
used to
other
do in
winter sport.
commercials.
I
Got,
guarantee.
got
Yeah.
it. Mr. Leeds himself. I'm going with Philly as well. I know you didn't ask, but I'm just gonna jump ahead.
No, no, no. You got.
I'm
Yeah.
going to Philly. Don't need no love. It's like, um,
No with no love.
yeah, don't
Go,
need no love.
go,
Go, sell
go.
it. Go sell
Sell
it.
it.
Yes, half
This
baked.
nice guy.
Yeah, I'm going with Philly as well. They're playing lights out. Even without Hurts, I think they're beating Jordan Love without his top guy.
Yeah.
Um, even though Josh Jacobs he's a load, but the Philly D is ready for that. So um, I go for it. I want to put on the record though. I am so tired of the tush push and its novelty. It's like it's so saccharine,
Yeah.
and it was novel the year they went to Super Bowl,
Yeah.
and now it's just boring and unimaginative
Yeah.
and
We're
annoying.
ready for the next
Well,
big play.
to quote the late great owner of the now Las Vegas Raiders, just win, baby.
I know,
That's fair.
just win.
That's fair. That's fair.
I know,
That's
I know.
fair.
I just want to say that, but I'm going for Philly. I'm not going for Philly. I think Philly will win this game.
Good cleanup there.
Yeah.
I'm also picking the Eagles in this match. So we've been together so far for all of
We've
them.
been together a very
I think that's
long.
going to change in the next matchup, but I
Yeah,
digress.
I think we're about to change up here in
Yeah,
in the
but
next.
yeah. So I like the Eagles in this matchup for all the reasons you guys stated. I think that this ain't last year's Eagles for sure. They kind of have a little bit of something to prove to people, given how they went out last year and
Yeah,
in an embarrassing fashion
yeah.
uh, at the hands of Baker and those. I think that Hurts is fine. I think he's going to look great. I think that defense is a monster. Not enough is being said about that Philly defense. That Philly defense is I mean, they got some, and especially that defensive backfield, those cornerbacks they got, man, they're gonna be a problem going forward. They're gonna be a tough out. But I like the Eagles. Moreover, I don't know what Matt LaFleur and them were doing last week. With not a lot at stake, to be honest. I don't think these matchups really mattered as much. Like you got Jordan Love playing out there, and then he sustained what looked like a pretty bad ulnar nerve injury. Like it looked like his he was shaking his hand in his pinky finger, especially. That's usually a pretty good sign of that the ulnar nerve in the elbow has been injured. He looked, that was kind of crazy. And then Jaden Reed, and I just, they had
And Watson,
and Watson, yeah, exactly. Like, you're putting your players at risk.
and
I
it's the
just
Bears.
and it's the Bears, right? And I know it's a rivalry. I get it. You know what I mean? But it just like you're in the playoffs. Like, this is a rematch of the opening game of the season in Brazil, where they had all the turf monster injuries, Jordan Love, etc. And the Packers looked great last year in the playoffs. We can't forget that. They
I haven't. That's why we're
yeah,
talking about them with reverence and respect right
yeah,
now
yeah,
because of the way they just demolished Dallas, and then I had them going. I was like, well, after that, why wouldn't they win the second?
yeah. Sky's the limit.
Yes, guys, are like, why wouldn't they win the second? When they were quickly
Yeah,
brought down to earth, but
yeah,
and they've
yeah,
shown flashes of brilliance this year. When they're hitting, they're hitting, but I don't think
yeah.
they have enough for Philly.
Yeah, I don't think they had the firepower for Philly either.
No.
So I like Philly in this matchup. So, all right. Well, moving right along, we got the 8 p.m. NBC Peacock match. We got my main man Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico calling a match against the Washington Commanders, the Seabirds
Trumpers,
versus the
Trumpers.
Buccaneers of Tampa Bay. The Bucks are favored by 3. It's in Tampa. Joe, who you like?
I've been wrestling with this one. I'm gonna go with the kid. I'm going with Washington, and I I like what Jaden Daniels has going on. McLaurin. I don't believe in Dan Quinn that he will ever deliver you anything substantial down the road. but January, he's fine in January.
Mhm.
And we're playing in January. So, but I like the way their defense is playing. They're playing inspired ball. Even though Tampa is formidable, no question. Baker is playing at the top of his game right now, and so is Mike Evans still at the Hall of Famer. Mike Evans, the lone Hall of Famer. Maybe
Yeah, I agree. First ballot Hall of Famer.
Wirfs might
First,
make the Hall of
first
Fame.
ballot Hall of Famer,
Yeah,
Mike
first ballot Hall of Fame was Mike Evans. Bucky Irvin's a nice story and all that.
Evans.
I just don't. I just don't. I don't. I think it kind of ends. It ends there on
Yeah.
Sunday in Tampa. I think the Washington story carries us into the next week because that quarterback is tough and smart and faster and
Mhm.
more elusive. I think their offense. I think the Washington offense is better than the Tampa defense, and I
Mhm.
think the Washington defense can hang with the Tampa offense. So
Sure.
I'm going with Washington
Okay. Okay.
personally.
Okay.
Personally.
Lee, who you like?
I want to take a different take from Joe. I like Jameson Crowder and Brian Robinson Jr. Up there at the Commanders, and
Of
even, of
course you
course,
do.
Jaden Daniels himself. And I know Chris Godwin is out, but Tampa still has Mike Evans out there,
Mhm.
and to borrow a little bit of the spirit of Mr. Shay Shay himself. I don't care if you put $3 Chuck Bucky's, the gas station, or Bucky Irvin in that backfield for Tampa. Tampa by 10.
Mm.
10. Okay.
10
All right.
by 10.
10.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. All right.
All right. I'm with Chris. I like the Bucks,
I
and
had a
so
feeling.
we see a lot of the Bucks, Joe, when being Falcons fans,
We do.
and I kind of view this as a battle of my two favorite Jeffs. There's a Jeff Williams. I got three favorite Jeffs because one of my LBs is Jeff Jones as well, but I digress. My buddy Jeff Williams from the Southern Players Fantasy Football League, one of my favorite fantasy football leagues that I'm a part of. He views himself as the advocate for young Jaden Daniels. He's loved him since the LSU days. He's a New Orleans guy through and through. And he's put me onto a lot of stats and facts about Jaden Daniels, and I'm very impressed by that young man. I think he's been playing out of his gourd, as they say. You know what I mean? He's got a lot of moxie. He's shown a lot of smarts. He throws the ball with accuracy and touch that you don't usually see in a rookie. He looks like he's been out there for 3 or 4 years, to be honest with you. He's the runaway rookie of the year in my eyes. Okay.
You know
That
they're gonna
being
get
said, the Buccaneers are playing right now. The way they look, and I grant you, they almost lost that game to the ops from Louisiana. I almost said the name, but I'm not gonna say it. The ops from Louisiana. They almost lost that game, but I don't think it was a true reflection of like what. And I think the grit they showed towards the end is what we're seeing with this Buccaneers team. I've always quietly been a big fan of Baker Mayfield, even in that matchup against Georgia in the Rose Bowl way back when. We won't talk about the next game, but that matchup against Georgia, Baker showed me something then. He continues to show me something. I think there were times when I was watching that game where I was like, they can't stop Baker. They just can't. He's going to grit out a fourth down run. Baker's incredible to me. Mike Evans, a lot's been said about him. They lost Kate Otten, but they got what's the young man? There's a new tight end that he's been targeting here lately,
mm-hmm,
whose name escapes me. But then there's also Jalen McMillan, who looks
mm-hmm.
fantastic right now. You talk Chris Lee about Godwin going down. That tanked a lot of my fantasy leagues. But Godwin has been essentially replaced. Bucky Irvin and Rashad White and Trey what's the other guy? Not Trey Tucker, but Tucker, the other running back. They got a squad, man. I've seen it up close and personal again. It was in a losing effort down there in Tampa. But I think Jeff Jones is going to be at that game. He was looking forward to seeing either the Lions or the Vikings, and then the Rams kind of upset that apple cart. But he's going to be at that game, and I think he's going to be pretty happy. He's going to hear those cannons go off quite a few times. I got the Bucks. I got the Buccaneers. So it's me and Chris with the Bucks, and you with the Commanders, Joe. So we got our
Payne
first
Durham
look.
is who you're thinking of for their tight end.
Yes, thank you, thank you,
Yes.
thank you, thank you.
He got me a fantasy.
Braves on the warpath. Fight for old DC.
DC. I love it. I love it. Hey,
Old
man. You know,
DC, Old DC is probably a segregationist reference.
Well,
oh,
it
you
is a
know it
second
is.
lyric because Dixie was the original
Yes, yeah,
lyric.
five for
Mhm.
Old Dixie. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. George
absolutely.
Preston Marshall was just absolutely
Uh,
crazy.
he was a
Just
virulent racist. I
yeah,
mean, they were the
just
last team to integrate.
out of his absolute mind,
Yeah,
out of just completely crazy
yeah. You know,
person.
the best football lesson I ever got from my dear departed father was about the history of the football in DC and why there's so many Dallas Cowboys fans.
Yeah,
um you know, and it speaks to the absolute racism of George Preston Marshall and everybody else in that organization. You know, they love to talk football lore about George Allen, yada yada, but he was complicit in it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
those guys, they you know. Anyway, I don't like to, but it's a new era, and to your point,
Well, them DMV boys,
yeah.
the PG County Maryland,
Oh yeah.
they love them some Redskins. So
Oh yeah.
they
Oh
love,
yeah. My
they
main
love.
man Al, it's a
Ooh,
bunch of, yeah,
ooh,
hey man, it's just a
wait.
lot of guys and gals, guys and gals
Oh
that
yeah.
love them
Oh my
some burgundy and gold. You
good
know what I mean?
Lord, they love that team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
they
I
love.
think and
They're gonna love my graphic. They're gonna be hating on y'all though. They're gonna be love
sure.
my graphic. They're gonna be hating
Sure.
on y'all.
But I'll tell you this, I think this is
Yeah.
going to be the most entertaining matchup of the weekend. I would really be surprised if this wasn't the closest matchup, or at least the most fun in terms of like,
Not if Baker gets going. If Baker gets going, we might have a runaway.
you know, and it kind of depends on what
Janet Jackson,
Levante David and
95.
Vita Vea do too.
Yeah,
So
Vita Vea. Yeah, we'll see. We'll
those
see.
big arms, they kept talking about and running into those big arms. It was Tom Brady talking about running into those big arms of Vita Vea. Okay, man, I get it. You know, I wish the Falcons had drafted. Anyway, moving on. We got the last matchup of the weekend or of the week because it's on a Monday night, Monday, January 13th, 8 p.m. My source doesn't know the network as yet. Do you happen to know network, either one of you guys? Doesn't
No,
matter.
I think
I'd
it's
be
ESPN
shocked
because
if
it's
it's
Monday
not
night.
ESPN.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
Monday
probably
night
ESPN.
football. It's
Yeah,
Monday night football.
ESPN. Yeah, yeah.
And
So
I think the boys are doing the game too. I think the Mannings are doing
Joe
the
and
game.
Joe
No,
and
the
Troy.
Mannings. I don't
Oh, the
care.
Mannings.
I hate Joe and Troy. I'm talking about the Mannings.
Oh,
They're
you watch the
doing the
Manning
game.
cast.
I
Yeah.
do. I do. That
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. So we got the Minnesota Vikings, the upstart Minnesota Vikings,
Minnesota
those plucky,
Vikings.
plucky Minnesota Vikings, 14-3 against the Rams of LA. I mean, you know, say what you say, Sean McVay. He finds a way. I'm
He
not
does.
gonna say another A. The Vikings are favored by 1.5. The Rams are the home team. I think we're alternating. So Joe, who you like?
I think the Vikings are favored because of Sam Darnold.
Sure.
I think by 1.5 because of Sam Darnold. I think it would be more. We anybody with eyes knows that the Vikings are an inordinately better team than the Rams. However, the Rams are quarterbacked by Matt Stafford. So I think the Sam Darnold to Matt Stafford the ratio there about success. I think
Yeah.
that's the respect for Matt Stafford, that 1.5 whatever the number is.
Sure.
I'm going with the better team, which is the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
I think they just got their tails kicked in Detroit last week. I don't think Darnold got brought down to earth. I don't think like a satellite that fell out of the sky or anything like that. I think they O'Connell gets it together. We end this little farce in the division that no one wanted to win, and their sole representative, and we end this little farce and get
Yeah.
the heck up out of LA with a win and back to USA Bank Stadium. Why they're
Mm-hmm.
not? I mean, let's talk about this, the faulting of the daggone home and away, why a 14-3 team has to travel from their amazing home field advantage to to LA to play this game is insane to me. They should just reseed it.
You got to win your division, Joe.
I
You got to win your
agree.
division.
I agree you need to win your division. I agree you do need to win your division. I also agree if you have a better record though, you should host a game. That's in my opinion.
Okay. Okay.
But
That's fair.
but but it is what it is, and so here we are. But I think they're going to come to Los Angeles and SoFi, beautiful SoFi Stadium, win the game, and go back victorious to the Twin Cities.
Skull. Okay. Chris, who you like?
I think it's going to be a great offensive matchup. I think this is going to be a nice shootout. Minnesota has been 2-0 against Green Bay. If they don't have Jordan Jefferson, they can throw it to Jordan Addison.
Okay. All right.
But I don't know what happened after Thanksgiving. But to me, their defense has not been worth diddly poo against a team who can throw it against them. LA has Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup and Brother Joseph, which is the name of a great beer by Yellowhammer out of Alabama here. Belgian double for those who are fans of beer.
I love a good Belgian double.
I have 4 eyes, but these 4 eyes say the Los Angeles Rams, and this is not just me rooting for chaos, hoping the Los Angeles teams are hosting conference championships, but just right now,
you're already thinking
Los
that far ahead.
Angeles
So
Rays.
don't act like you don't think we want chaos. You're already thinking that.
I want chaos, but I know it won't happen.
Yes.
They will win this game in a high-scoring shootout because Minnesota's defense will not do what they need to do.
Okay. So we got Joe with the Vikings and Chris with the Rams. I can't lie. I've been kind of back and forth with this one over the week. But I think I've settled in pretty solidly with the Rams. And here's why. I agree with some of the points you made, Joe, about this matchup. I think that Chris is kind of underestimating the head, the not the head coach, but the defensive coordinator there on the Viking sideline on that purple.
I wasn't even gonna go there, but thank you.
Brian Flores.
Yes.
He's a monster there. Now they got lit up by a damn good Detroit offense. But otherwise they've looked incredible as the years gone on. I mean, they lost to Neil Hunter in the offseason, and you wouldn't be able to tell because they're still, bringing that pressure, all those kind of things. That said, I just like what the Rams have to offer. And you mentioned Puka Nakua and Cup. There are a lot of people really mad at Cooper Cup right now for his no-show in the fantasy playoffs. You know what I mean? But I think that he was dealing with some health issues, continues to deal with some health issues. But I think he shows up for the playoffs. Matt Stafford has that experience that again, Sam Darnold, he's been proven all year that he deserves to be in the conversation. And I appreciate the fact that he's improved very well. Bryce Young's improved very well. We got to give these guys some time to develop. I think that's the lesson that we're learning here. But as far as playoff football is concerned, he got to show me. He still has to show me. And I love Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson might be my favorite player remaining in the tournament. You know what I mean? I really, he's the receiver show. I really enjoyed watching Justin Jefferson and how he goes about his business. I would love to see him win a playoff game. But I just can't see, with Jared Verse and with what's the young man Fisk out there, that 1-2 combination of that on the Rams front four. I just can't see it, man. I can't see and McVay, he's been there. He knows how to do it. He's proven it. He's got a ring. You know what I mean? That means something to me. I think that the Rams pull it out. And to your point, Joe, that whether it's earned or not, they got that home field advantage. There was a lot of slander all year about the NFC South and how bad those teams were in the NFC South. You know what I mean? And how, whoever wins that division doesn't need to be in the playoffs, yada, yada, this, that, and the other. The NFC West was putrid. They were putrid. They have the smell of Pike's Place in Seattle at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, and we're going to go back to that term glazing. People glazing these teams like, the 49ers and the Cardinals, man, they were awful.
They were. I agree.
And there was a lot of discussion about how bad the NFC South was, but there's a lot of talent on those teams. And now with Bryce Young actually playing well, there's a good chance that all 4 of those teams could contend next year. You know what I mean? I really feel that way. Even the Ops from Louisiana, because they find a way if they can, maybe not them. I'll take that back.
Not
But
them.
the other three teams definitely can show up and show out. Our,
Sure.
our Falcons, our beloved Falcons. I'm not. You know, I don't want to set myself up for more disappointment, but I like what we got on the offensive side. I really do. If we can shore up that defense, we'll be all right. Anyway, I got the Rams in this matchup. So to conclude, we all agree on the first three matchups. So the Chargers versus Texans, we all believe the Chargers are going to win. We all agree that the Ravens are going to win a laugher over the Steelers. We all agree that the Bills will beat the Broncos to varying degrees, but we all agree. When it came down to the Packers and the Eagles, there was agreement as well, right? We all agreed that the Eagles win that matchup, and then we start to digress when it gets to the Commanders and Bucks. Chris and I both like the Buccaneers, and Joe, you right with old DC, old Evans
Yes.
Grill, uh,
March.
and as it were,
Old
and
DC.
then in the second matchup where there's some disagreement again, Chris and I both like the Rams, and Joe, you like the Vikings. So you stand to be either far ahead of us or far behind us. But
We love it.
you've never been averse to taking a risk, Joe,
No,
ever.
let's zag, baby.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it, man. So we got that on record. I'm looking forward to the graphic, man. I tell you, man, Joe is a master. It goes back to, and you'll have to pardon my digression here, but I really want to take a moment to shout out the man that the Morehouse community lost recently, Big Mike Smith,
Absolutely.
giant in the Morehouse. I mean, I think if you went to Morehouse and our contemporary, and as a student, as an alum, he's been consistent as just a great person.
Yes.
And it's a huge loss to the Morehouse community. But I think back to, and I'm glad you posted it in one of your montages, Joe. You had our collage, rather. You had that those watercolors you used to do in the Maroon Tiger office.
Yes.
One of the very first ones was a nice watercolor of Mike, Big Mike.
Yes.
And that was always like, one of my favorite memories of being in the Maroon Tiger office and seeing those, around and kind of getting us in the mood for being who we were at that time. Um,
Whatever we thought we were. Yes.
whatever we thought we were. But big shout outs to his family, and to his frat brothers, brothers of Phi Beta Sigma, Chi chapter there. Um, you know, Tremendous loss, man. We're at that age where it's not promised to us
Right.
for sure. But I want, I live here in Nashville. Emmanuel Rowe is I see him out and about and around, and I know he's been dealing with it. I'm sure Al's not,
Mhm.
it's tough, but I'll be remiss if we didn't give him a huge shout out at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And so kind of segueing into our final point here tonight, we wanted to, because the hour's getting late, uh, we wanted to kind of make each of us an owner of our respective favorite teams. Joe and I had this discussion. The whole reason the Open Task podcast is because the conversations that Joe and I have had over the years, the discussions we've had, and the
Yes.
different tabs we've opened up. And one of the discussions we had this week, and we were like, well, we need to make this a part of the show. It's talking about what we would do if we were the owners of our respective favorite franchises. And so, Joe, you've had a chance to have even more thought. What would you do as the owner of the Atlanta Falcons?
Thank you. And it's a pleasure. Obviously, we're gonna keep the roof always open. Uh,
I like that.
One thing. Why do we have it? Unless it's raining. Why do we have the damn roof?
Yeah,
Unless it's raining.
yeah. Let the
Put the
big guy see it.
yeah. Come on, let them see it. Um, no, we're gonna do away with the ombre jersey. So we're
Okay.
gonna do away with the red faded jersey. Just make a red jersey. Red,
Yeah,
black, white. It's
yeah,
real simple. Lot more throwback days.
yeah.
I wouldn't mind an all white day. I'm very big on the uni watch.
Hmm.
Yes, there he is. No, I'm talking I'm talking the 66,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fair.
60th as we go into this our 60th season. Um, and also, but let's talk personnel, of course. Um, so we cut. Well, we look to trade Cousins, obviously, if we can. I'm sure. maybe find a taker somewhere. If we can't, we cut, of course. Fine, cool. Well, we save that 10 million. With 10 million, we go find some disgruntled free agent stud defensive back or defensive lineman to shore up to give us a pass rush. Grady cannot do this all by himself. It's obvious that we thought Judon was going to be a big help in that regard. No, and the saddest part of the Judon thing is he wears these red sleeves, so you can
Mm-hmm.
always see when he's getting beat. You can always see when he's getting blocked. You can always see when he's covering somebody out the backfield. He has no business covering.
Sure.
It's just yeah. So we use the $10 million that the roster bonus. We use the $10 million to sign a free agent. Uh, maybe maybe it is Von Miller. Maybe it is Von Miller. I don't know. Uh, I know he's a little long in the tooth, but I think we put some things together like a pass rush and get another linebacker and one more formidable DB because I think some of these guys it's been a while. It's time to
Mm-hmm.
go. Let that go. The other
The
thing,
Alford.
yeah, D. Alford was who I was thinking. I was going to say 20, but you go ahead, say D. Alford. So having said that, I mean, I like our linebackers. I like Caden and Landman. Or I have a different name for them when I'm at the game, but
I know you
we'll,
do.
we'll just keep it at our linebackers.
Sure.
They have a certain aesthetic that's similar to them.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Some
But
people in Johns Creek and everywhere, they're
yes,
happy about that.
yeah, very happy about that.
Yeah.
The minority on the team,
Yeah.
but minorities on the team. But
Yeah.
the other thing, obviously, we get rid of Pitts. I think the Pitts experiment is obviously over with, and he knows it. We know it. All that. You cut Pitts, or you try to trade Pitts, just try to see what we can get for
Yeah.
him, and see what we can get on the open market. Because I think he will have some value somewhere, but I just think he doesn't want to be in Atlanta anymore.
Sure.
So we don't want we don't need no lukewarm people on the line,
Nope.
and he's lukewarm and on the line.
8/80.
Yes, yes, there we go. I don't even know what that means, but I'm with you with that.
People who
So
know.
there you go. I'm sure it'll land. So having been led as we believe in the spirit of God, I think we get rid of Pitts and we try to find one more complimentary receiver. I'm really tired of the kind of speedster other second receiver. Go get a
Hmm.
stud. Go get a
Yeah.
stud.
Yeah, I agree.
Go
With some
get
good
it.
hands.
Just go get a stud with some good hands. Get him a real tight end. You
Yeah.
get Mike a real tight end. I think that's the building block. We can look at this. There's so many cases
Hmm.
of these young quarterbacks with their tight end. The
Hmm.
quarterback tight end thing, man. It's like a rook in chess, and it can be deadly in moving the ball
Yeah,
down the field
absolutely.
because we have an outstanding running game, but you have to complement it with the short and intermediate passes that aren't going to the running backs, and that Pitts was supposed to catch. And when he does do it, it's like, God, dog, why can't we do this every play? But he just doesn't. I mean, he's just not there. So
Yeah.
in addition to that, we fight like crazy to never get into the European games
Yeah.
um, this year, and that's for you, Chris. And then bring more of the fan experience where you can come on the field again. The season ticket holders can come on the field again.
Hmm.
I hate that they took away that one. I thought it was a very fun experience. You can't blame COVID on that. Everybody else, you got people down there all day.
Yeah.
People down there all the time. I don't want to
Yeah.
hear. We can't do that. Uh,
Sure.
but those would be my. Keep the hot dogs 150.
Okay.
Keep the drink machines on 10 minutes after the game. Just
Okay.
10
Okay.
minutes after the game,
Yeah,
because
you get
I,
get
I
less
like
let out to the
I
hard
like
rock for
I
sure.
like to I like yeah, and I like to sit in my seat
Hmm.
and let the crowd die down,
Hmm.
and then I like to go because it's too much crowd on me. There's a lot of anxiety with that, and
Yeah.
so when I leave, I like to go get a drink. I
Yeah.
like to get a drink. So
Yeah.
that's me.
I got you. Chris, you're the owner of the New England Patriots. Robert Kraft, for some reason, Bob has bequeathed the franchise to you. What would you do?
Well, first things first, I would. Oh well, never mind. This is a good wholesome show. So the next first thing
I
that
always
I
mark it
would,
actually as not kid safe. So there's that.
I think I would go and get a good massage to make sure I can handle the stress.
There's some places in the Tampa Bay area you can do that. You know, that's where you got caught up. Just saying.
Given that we're coming up on the 65th anniversary of the establishment of the Boston Patriots, which later became the New England Patriots in
In Sullivan
1971.
Field.
When they attempted to become the Bay State Patriots, but thank God the NFL shot that down.
Yeah.
First of all, the flying Elvis would come back to the end zones, not that whatever this borderline blocked what serif script is with the Patriots. No, bring back the flying Elvis, put it in the end zones. It worked.
Not Pat the Patriot.
No, we'll put the flying Elvis.
Okay.
In the end zone.
Joe, you're muted. Are you meaning to be muted? Okay. I suck at reading lips.
I was gonna say Pat the Patriot is not associated with championships.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, if anything, Super Bowl 20.
They're getting the fridge, the Super Bowl shuffle. Yeah,
Super Bowl shuffle. Yeah, 44.
Thank you,
sure,
gentlemen, as we get ready to approach the 40th anniversary of that Roman numeral.
Yes,
that was for you.
That's a lot of history there.
And for coaches, I don't want to see Vrabel there necessarily.
Okay.
Now, if I want to blend a little Saturday ball here, I call up Kalen DeBoer just for good measure. Hey, you want to get your head at Sunday ball for a little bit?
Man, then you serve you kill two birds with one stone. Looks like right there. I don't think you like them on Saturday ball. So
what is it that the meme says?
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I pick up what you're putting down.
Or Byron Leftwich. I want a good offensive mind there, and then bring in Josh McDaniels.
I can think of another brother y'all can bring in. He got some litigation going right now, but I think he'd be a perfect fit.
Is he up in Seattle right now?
No, he's in Minnesota right now.
Oh, yes.
Brian Flores. He's on that Belichick tree. But I digress. This is your plan. This is your team.
Yeah. I want Josh McDaniels to come and develop Drake May.
Okay.
I think he can do. He kind of, we don't have the number one pick anymore because they decided. They decided to get Chettle to enter Denver in week 18 over here.
He did a Lovey Smith on y'all, man.
And if I were to issue a very, very heartfelt and public apology to Gerard Mayo, and if he does, I'm sure he has a golden parachute, but if he does it, absolutely make sure he lands somewhere with a big headset or very much in line to be a coach in waiting to get a big headset, because that was absolutely wrong to put him in that position.
Yeah.
And then as far as the annual player selection meeting, as most people refer to as the NFL draft, shore up that offensive line. Good grief. And as Joe and I talked about, bring in a decent, it might not be a stud running back, but a good running back. I like Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not sure if he's that guy who can touch it 23 to 25 times a game. But New England can get it done to ragtag receivers. I still believe that. Bring in a bell cow running back, shore up that offensive line. I think the defense is going to be all right in about the next 2 years.
Yeah.
But those are the things that I would want to look at as an owner. But bring in a coach who can rally them and get back to championship winning ways. I think the culture is there. People know the culture, so I don't think New England needs a Vrabel.
Sure.
So I would want to see an offensive mind there, move the ball vertically, get some more points on the board next year.
Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever been to Gillette Stadium?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on it?
I liked it.
Okay.
I know it's getting older. I know it's approaching 30, I believe.
Time flies.
I don't know. It's approaching 25.
Because I still remember Foxborough.
Yes.
They were playing in Foxborough at least in 2001. So it's probably about.
I think they moved in 02. So it's approaching 25. I think it's still a good stadium. I like a good outdoor open air stadium. I don't like this movement to domes. And I'm disappointed that Cleveland is building a dome, where I think if they're not committed to it, they are definitely very close to committing to it. I was glad to see that Buffalo is still committed to open air, even if the fans will be covered Miami style. But but no, football is an outdoor game. I almost wish they would bring back the natural grass to Gillette, but keep it open air.
Okay.
I think there's just something about having that advantage wherever you are, be it in the cold weather area or hot and humid area, to make it more fun. I understand why you want to play a championship game in controlled conditions. That way you can just see the best of the best of a team. You don't have a repeat of was that Super Bowl 41?
Yeah, in the Meadowlands. Yeah.
No. With the Colts and the Bears.
Oh, in Miami.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Prince Super Bowl.
Purple Rain.
Uh
Joe, what were you saying?
I'm sorry. 2000. I was saying 2007. So I can't. I think it was. It's probably 52.
Yeah, sounds about right.
No, not
Oh,
52.
seven?
No, not 52.
No,
40,
'cause that was
47. 47.
okay, I thought it was 40.
Oh no,
Okay.
you're probably right. You're probably right. 41, whatever. But it was because XL was in Detroit.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was in
That was what, 5?
that was Pittsburgh and
So then,
Seattle.
so it's 40. It's 47 then. Or what is XL? What is that number?
XL is 40.
40. So it's 42. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah. Yeah.
42.
No, 42 is the painful one you mentioned. It. See, there you go again. I know you didn't do it intentionally this time, but no, I know 42. That was in Arizona.
So with that game, no. XL is an 05.
Yeah. And so the
No,
next
it
one,
was the 05. Was it the 05?
I'm pretty sure it was
It was
41.
the 05.
that was Seattle and Pittsburgh. And then I think the next one was.
Yeah,
No.
because Jerome Bettis won the.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're right. I mixed it up. I put a game between it. I apologize. I apologize.
That's okay.
It was
okay.
41. It was
It's all
41.
good.
It was 41.
Minus having
apologize.
mentioned 42 tonight.
That was not my intention.
I know.
twice.
I said it was.
Yeah, but
Man,
yeah,
nobody cared. You were still there.
Yeah, I mean, we watched it together.
But yeah, see the game and I
actually,
think
we watched it
Gregson
together. We
wins
watched that game
in,
together. Actually,
You finished the regular season undefeated. Nobody, great. Congratulations.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
I don't have any sympathy.
Just like the
I'm a
Warriors
Falcons fan.
won 73 games. What they do?
I'm a Falcons fan. I don't have any sympathy. None.
But I understand why they want to play a lot of these games in 72 degrees and no wind. But
Sure.
I think there's something to be said about playing football in the elements, be it the rain, be it the snow. And we don't get the great quote of from this season of God saw it fit for us to play this game in the AFC North in the elements.
Yeah, James.
And
thank you,
the
James.
horse is prepared for battle.
Yeah.
So, but no, I don't. I know a new stadium is probably in order, probably the next 10 years or so.
Yeah.
But just immediately, just to coach, I think the GM can stay in place.
Okay.
And showing up that O-line, though, if I were the owner of the 6-time Roman numeral champion game, shout out to Joe Carlos Roman numeral game, New England Patriots, those would be my emphases.
Who'd they beat? What big time teams have they ever beat to win those games?
To win the Roman numeral?
Big time teams.
Well, I mean, if you make it, then you're a big time team. But
that dredges up
the 2000 Giants.
Wait.
The
The St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf.
According to writers, go ahead.
They had just won the Super Bowl. Not favored to win.
No, actually, 36. They'd won the Super Bowl 2 years prior, not even the previous year. But go ahead. I'm still listening. I'm still listening. They beat the Rams in their prime. Oh no, they did. They beat the Rams. Then Jake Delhomme.
The Eagles in
that
39.
1 year. That 1 year.
The Donovan McNabb.
A blip. Then Jake Delhomme. Jared Goff. You beat Jared Goff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris Lee.
Let's say the best.
Come back, Chris.
We're coming down a road I don't want to go down.
Come back, Chris Lee. You want to try to push that in my face. Now, the best team they beat was the 2016 Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, Jesus. I knew that was going
to. That was the best team they beat. That was the best team they beat.
That was the best team they beat. I agree.
You're muted, Chris. You're on mute, Chris.
Brother Dr. Calvin, I just want to point out I chose peace this evening.
Okay, yeah.
I was saying objectively.
Oh, wait. Well, now, if you want to say a team that they beat based on the statistic of the score, notice I emphasize that, the Seahawks.
That was it. Yeah, and
I
they
said
were
based on that stat.
they were the defending Super
I
Bowl
said
champ
based on
too.
that stat.
Three of the teams were formidable.
Yeah, they were defending Super Bowl champ.
The other was Illmatic. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Okay, so fine.
We got
Okay.
a hot one hot album every 10-year average.
Yeah,
Yes.
y'all got a one hot album every 10-year average. So that's 50% of them hot, 50% of them not. I'm
Yeah.
with you. I got it.
Yeah.
I understand. But you opened it, as they said in the great film, the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. You opened that door when you opened that door with your objection. You made this the environment that we were going to speak in. But that's fine.
I hate this
That's
so
fine.
much.
That's fine.
At any rate,
I
moving
chose
along.
peace.
Joe,
half
I
the
agree
team.
with a lot of things you would have done with the Falcons.
Thanks.
I want to say, just kind of with my history, you're a season ticket holder.
Yeah, I'm talking game experience.
Yeah.
I'm all about game
Oh
experience.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm paying for those meals.
My grandparents, Margaret and C. Miles Sr.,
Uh-huh.
were inaugural
I'm sure.
season ticket holders in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium way back in the days.
God bless.
Yeah, hey, they saw a lot of Falcons history, a lot of bad football was played there. Former owners, Smith's no relation, Rankin and his family. God bless them for bringing football to Dixie.
They did do that.
They did it. But we saw again a lot of bad football, a lot of bad drafts, a lot of bad teams, a lot of bad coaches. They brought back Marion Campbell for whatever reason twice, so he could have a run at it. Jerry Glanville leaving tickets at the will call for Elvis. Just a lot of bad stuff. And then Arthur Blank bought the team, and there was a lot of great stuff that happened with him being our owner. He truly had a will to win. I think he was burnt by the whole Mike Vick experience, but nonetheless, we still, he has a very fan-friendly experience at the games. To your point, Joe, about the price on the meals and everything like that, I wouldn't really change too much of what you said. I agree with keeping the dome open as much as possible. We got one of the most beautiful stadiums, one of the most fun game day experiences that we can possibly have in NFL. There's a lot of places. I live in Tennessee here with the Titans. They're building a new stadium. The game day experience here right now is abysmal. I went to a Titans Broncos game last year in the freezing cold and felt as though I would have rather gone to a sports bar or anywhere else to watch the game.
The new place is indoors, right?
New places indoors. They won a Super Bowl. Nashville, wants to be.
Yeah, they should. I mean, they got the hotel. They're set up for it.
They want to be the lighter shade of Atlanta, as it were. But I digress. What I would do, I'm not shy about rivalries. I made a statement on Facebook last week that I actually wanted the Ops from Louisiana to lose because I didn't care about any of that because I hate them. I think that they sabotaged our squad by sending us this mole, Terry Fontenot. He got to go. He got to go. We need a new GM for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I'm a big proponent of sunk cost and the sunk cost fallacy. I think that Jimmy Lake, the defensive coordinator, has shown himself to be a sunk cost. We got to get rid of him. Mm-hmm. That defensive scheme they ran last year was abysmal. We were getting destroyed by running quarterbacks. We were getting destroyed by stud wide receivers. Mm-hmm. That Minnesota game, embarrassing. Mm-hmm.
I was shocked he made it to the next week.
I as was I. We have to do everything in our power to keep Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson has done a lot with that offense, especially knowing what we know now about the condition that Kirk Cousins was in, and that Penix was explosive in practice, and probably should have been starting weeks ago. I think Zach Robinson needs another year to really coach up Penix. We got to do whatever. Like we have to do the Ben Robinson thing and not let him go anywhere as much as we can. We need to fight to keep him. I think that, in general, we need to repair the legacy and the reputation of the Falcons in the community. There's some wrongs that were done to some of those churches in building that beautiful stadium that they have. They need to make some efforts to make that right in the community, because there's still some people that are pretty upset about how that went down. And
The
more,
churches signed on.
no, not all of them, not all of them, not all of them.
Well, on that, well, there's that one holdout, but Friendship signed off.
Yeah, friendship. Well, I mean, and friendship's the big boy for sure.
Yeah,
But the sentiment amongst locals is
yeah,
still,
I
it's
hear you.
pretty, and
I hear you.
moreover, like there's still, like, if you go to the game, man, Mike Penix is going to do a lot to change this. I grant you, but you still see so many Mike Vick jerseys, man. And
I mean,
we,
but
again,
that's
we made
indicative
right
of
by that.
that's
But that's
indicative of I'm this is your GM.
so what I'm saying though is, like, we need to do further in that realm by, you know, making it a team that fits that city. You know what I mean? That fits the old Atlanta. I think that
Old
when you
Atlanta, but the old Atlanta might not be buying tickets like that.
old Atlanta is definitely buying tickets.
I'm saying like that. So to your point, this is your team. I'll be
No,
quiet.
no, no, no. Make the point.
So what I'm saying is, there's as much old Atlanta buying the tickets. I agree, but actually, they're usually pretty much in the suites.
Yeah,
The ones I see that I know are old Atlanta, they're in the
sure.
suites like right above me, and of course wherever Miss Smith sits. Okay, so
Okay,
and her ilk, right? But
got you.
I'm not saying they don't buy it, but New Atlanta buys it just as much, because it's the thing they always wanted to do. They always want, and it's so accessible. You get a little piece of the pie too. I'm with you. I was just gonna say, you go to an NFL stadium on
Mm-hmm.
a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
We in the last 2 years, we've played pretty much every landmark tentpole NFL franchise at
Sure.
home. At home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all you see is old jerseys. You don't see, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. The only time uh, we played the Chargers, Seau and Tomlinson. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we played the Niners this last year. Sage was asking me, "Who is Rice? What is Rice? What is Young?" She's asking this, and I'm like, "Well, they used to play for the 49ers." She's like, "Why are they still wearing the jersey?" I said, "Baby, because they don't have anybody as good as those guys were." Okay, what is Montana? Is that the state? I said, "No, that was the quarterback, Joe Montana. He was a quarterback." What I'm trying to say is, this is not. I mean, Vic was a cultural phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Do you think Penix needs to be a cultural phenomenon and a great quarterback?
No,
Or
I would
what
much rather
percentage?
have the latter
What
than the
percentage?
former. To your
Okay,
point, yeah,
okay.
I agree.
There's a
I
lot
agree.
of Matt Ryan jerseys too. There's a
Yeah,
whole lot of Matt Ryan jerseys.
I want to split the baby on this. I've attended a good number of Falcons games,
Yes, you have.
and
Mm-hmm. I seen you there.
Yes.
and you know, I, I like saying some of the older jerseys. It reminds me of the, as I like to call them, Maryland's other NFL franchise, the now Commanders, where they almost embrace their full history. It's almost like an old college team. Like I was with Joe and I were chatting the other day, and I was telling him Jim Riggleman is still selling Papa John's pizzas in the DC metro area, and so if there's a way that
Riggins, you said.
John
Riggins,
Riggins, yeah,
sorry,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Diesel,
John Riggins
yeah,
and Jim Riggleman for the Chicago Cubs. My apologies.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, if the team can find a way, Vic isn't as much of a lightning rod as he used to be, but clearly the fan
No,
base loves him. The
yeah.
city loves him.
Oh, I mean,
And
I didn't want to imply they've done right by Vic. Like,
yeah,
he's in their Ring of Honor now.
He's on the
Yeah,
videos.
yeah. But
All in the video.
and so
my
if people want
point,
to shout him out,
it took too long to do that.
but
He
but you
went
know
to
what?
prison for killing dogs.
Well, tax evasion, but I digress.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And
based
But
off,
yes,
I
I mean,
get that, man. But, like, and he has atoned for that ten
no, no,
times
no, no,
over.
no, no, no. I'm not saying but there's a radioactive nature
Got you.
yeah,
to
Point made.
when you're marketing a multi this
Yeah,
multi-billion-dollar thing in this multi-billion-dollar overall industry. Now, granted, he's still a face of the NFL,
sure,
and
sure.
he has worked his way back and done all the necessary work for that. I obviously the team probably should have done it 5 years earlier than it did, but now it's there. But I'm with you. I think
Yeah.
anybody who wants to hold on to that resentment is something about them,
Yeah.
and,
Well, no,
and they'll never get over it.
when
And,
you
They'll never get
when
over
you from Adamsville,
it.
Southwest Atlanta,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Where Vic is
Like,
not from.
this is different. It hits different.
but
Okay,
let
but
me also add.
are those people buying tickets to the game?
Let,
Yeah, they are.
may I
Okay,
also add. It's not
okay,
like
in the
y'all are
300s.
asking. Like Baltimore, they will always ask Ray Lewis to come back no matter what. And, especially talking about Atlanta, we all know how that goes. It's not like y'all are asking Jamal Anderson to come back in there and hit that dirty bird for y'all one good time.
I'm sure he's done
Nobody
it. I'm
cares
sure
about Jamal Anderson.
he's pulled it. I mean, if you think about it, too, I'm with you. It's like how do you deal with the ex players? Like how do you deal with them? Obviously, if you're an ex football player, you can always come to the thing. But you're talking about celebrating seven. Okay, well, what are we celebrating? Are we celebrating the cultural significance? Are we celebrating winning a playoff game in one playoff game in Green Bay? I mean, what are we? I'm asking you a question. I lived here,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what are we celebrating? I'm with you. I'm with you on this. It's like Neek has a statue,
I just,
or here I'm gonna throw one out there that's not popular. Derrick Rose had a number retired in Chicago for
That shit
what?
crazy. Yeah.
sure. I get you. I get you.
For
It's
what?
well.
What? Because his career was cut short by injury.
Here's my thing.
Is Gale?
Oh
Is he Brian Piccolo?
no,
You know,
I get you. He got one MVP and that's it. He never won a playoff
but
game.
he did
None of
get the
that stuff.
MVP.
Yeah,
He did
yeah,
get the MVP. I don't think he
yeah,
won a series.
yeah, yeah.
The whole and he played on other teams.
Sure, sure, sure. He didn't even spend the majority of his career there. I got you. I got you. Look, I'm
Nor
just
did
saying.
Vic.
Okay, like what we
I know I can't understand it fully, but I'm with you. I'm listening to you.
we as old Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
we need a culture reset. It's too much sentiment right now. Like I almost had as my background that look the Pepe the Frog wearing the Falcons jumpsuit, the sad or the upside down Falcons logo with the beer bottle. Like there's so much negative sentiment in the
I
in
think
the
this is
family.
negativity of black people in Atlanta. Period. I agree with you. I
Yeah,
agree with you. I think people default to that. It's like they lose the game. Oh, it also. Do you watch the game? Like people, if someone says that and they don't watch a game, like there's so much bright spot stuff there. That other side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball, it's one of the best in the whole league. Top
yeah,
three,
I
top
agree.
four in the whole league.
I agree. There's a lot
And
to
it's like,
it.
okay, well, if we just shore up the other side of the ball where this coach is supposed to have come from, if we take care of the other side of the ball, it is what it is. But you're talking about a variety of
You
things, and I hear what
you
you're
come
saying.
from a winning culture, Joe.
Yeah,
You
but
come
I'm
from a
trying to I'm being objective about this. I wasn't
I
always
know, and
winning. It was
it's
winning when I
impossible
was.
for me to be objective
I,
as a
I know it is. I know it is. I'm just saying it was winning when I was four, and then from the time in 4 and 5, and then the catch happened, and then there was
sure,
a very difficult. Well, I guess it wasn't that, but it was a very difficult. It was up and down, and
sure.
it was not to the standard.
I mean, y'all had a 1-15 season.
Yes, but
Yeah,
in,
I get
in
you.
'86, Dallas won the East,
Yeah,
but the Giants won the Super Bowl.
right, right,
And
right.
I remember the big game was Dallas versus Giants. I vividly recall that game. I said, "Well, we won." I remember my Uncle Gene being like, "Yeah, nigga, I don't know though. Them Giants look real good, Joe." I was like,
Joe
"What you talking
Morris,
about?"
baby.
Yeah, yeah. Joe Morris, Lawrence Taylor. I mean, the
Yeah,
whole Bavaro, the whole thing, right?
yeah,
What
sure.
I'm trying to say is
Phil McConkey, no relation to Lad.
none whatsoever. Unfortunately for him. McConkey, he was so small, like, no shoulders. I was gonna say that yeah, sure. I was around that, and then when I was a senior in high school, we Dallas went all the way. It was great, but to say it was a winning culture, no, no.
Three
But,
Super Bowls in your lifetime is a winning
yeah,
culture.
3 and 4 years, even better. But the point being, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But the culture and the cultural phenomenon, the cultural stars, they are beloved there because they won, though.
Yeah,
No.
I get what you're saying. That's
They
the difference. That's the
won.
fundamental difference between Vic
Yeah,
and Neek.
it is. I'm not. taking it. Vic don't play all 54 positions, 55. He's not all 54 people on the team. Nick
Sure,
don't play all 12 spots,
sure.
right? So I'm with you on that. I think that those people are celebrated. It's like the Dale Murphy. Dale Murphy is beloved.
Two-time MVP.
He's beloved. Okay. Was
Two-time
he
MVP.
was he on the 95 team?
No, he left the Braves. He left the Braves in 90.
But
So right before
is he in the Hall of Fame?
no. 398 home runs, two-time MVP. It's a
But I know
disgrace
who
and a
Dale Murphy
tragedy.
is. I know who Dale Murphy is.
Yeah, because he's on America's
And,
team.
and, and any other
Shout out
50
to
year
Ted
old
Turner.
person, any other 50-year-old person who barely watched baseball,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
knows who Dale Murphy is
yeah,
because of TBS and the
yeah.
Superstation and like we also know Andre Dawson, who Andre
The
Dawson is,
Hawk, baby. Yeah,
or Mark Grace, who
yeah,
Mark Grace is, right?
yeah, yeah. Good old
Yeah,
first
yeah.
baseman.
So I'm saying all that to say that was marketing. That was the
Sure,
push, right?
sure.
And but they didn't win. Now, are they beloved in their cities? Of course they are. Dale Murphy he can't even buy a drink. He can't buy dinner. Nobody would let
He's
him.
he's good Mormon, so he's not gonna buy no drink. But I got you.
I'm
I
saying he
got you. I
can't
know
buy.
what you
He
mean.
can't buy. He can't buy.
I know what you mean.
He can't do that.
His
He
money
can't
ain't
buy
up
a good
yet.
glass of milk. Somebody's gonna buy that glass of
No.
milk for him.
So let me ask you a question. What do you think is as the owner, Mr. Smith, Dr. Smith? What do you think is the next move to do with like a Vic? Is it a statue? I'm not gonna after I ask you that, I'm not gonna counter that with an
No, no,
argument.
no, no.
I'm
I think we've
curious.
done right by Vic. I think we can close the door on that. All right, to your
No,
point.
but I mean, I'm being
He's in the Ring of Honor. Like I think that's appropriate. That's
but Atlanta has no statues other than a Falcon.
we hardly have any Hall of Famers. We got like Claude Humphreys, Dion.
Statue, statue, statue. Your Hall of Famer, statue. Gonzalez,
What you gonna do? Give him the little
Matt
Allen
Ryan,
Iverson statuette.
Matt Ryan's gonna be in the Hall of Fame. He's
Okay.
gonna be in a he's white, he's tall, he's nice, he's on TV.
You made a perfect analogy, and you didn't even know you made it.
I'm
Matt Ryan
sure
is Dale Murphy.
he is Dale Murphy.
Dale ain't in the Hall.
He is Dale Murphy, but Dale ain't in the Hall because baseball is insane. Let's start there.
Football's insane too.
Football's not nearly as insane as baseball, brother.
Matt Ryan. Okay, so Philip Rivers
Not,
is gonna have to get into the Hall before Matt Ryan.
I think Philip Rivers is going to get in the Hall of Fame.
Only
Okay.
based on time, not because of
Yeah.
Ryan padded a lot of them stats.
Sure. He was the MVP though.
Yeah, he did get an MVP.
I walked away with
and he went to the Roman numeral.
I used to make that argument, but I've slowly kind of.
I think this whole thing has evolved.
Okay.
Does he make it 20 years ago with the same thing? No. You got to win.
Sure.
Or be the absolute Dan Fouts, Dan Marino best.
Sure.
But for a period of time, his numbers were the absolute, and
he was in that conversation.
He's there with Breeze and Brady. Breeze, Brady, and Manning. Like that.
Yeah.
That's the.
That's fair.
And the other Manning.
Yeah.
And the other Manning.
Yeah.
That's not a slight, Chris.
Yeah.
That's just the truth.
Man,
Okay.
Look. Can I digress real quick and say that this is the year for you, Joe, where they right that wrong, and Darren Woodson finally gets that knock on the door. I think that he finally gets that jacket this year.
I think Luke Kuechly is going to take
crying Luke Kuechly.
I think Luke Kuechly is going to take another defensive spot.
Don't get me started on crying Luke Kuechly.
I think it's going to be.
I know why, but whatever, man. Like you want to talk about somebody who, Dan Morgan. That don't get me started, man. Who's the boy out of Miami that played for so long?
Zach
Thomas.
Zach Thomas. That one killed
Brian
me.
Urlacher.
That one killed me. The Zach Thomas killed me. I couldn't believe that they.
Darren Woodson belongs in the Hall of Fame. I think he gets
Eric Allen because he's an Eagle. Jared Allen, that's the one you really got to worry about because it's Jared Allen who I think it is.
Jared Allen was a bad boy.
He was a bad boy, a trumper. Yeah, Jared Allen. Yeah. I don't even know him, but I'm pretty sure.
It's a lot of them out here apparently. So
a whole lot. But I think the only other D-backs See, the beauty for him is he's only going against the only the D-back is Eric Allen.
Yeah, and I think he's more deserving.
I think he is too, and
Yeah,
he won the Super Bowls, so we'll see.
yeah.
We'll
Darren
see.
Woodson is my 1A to my 1B of Sterling Sharp, who I'm always going to champion as belonging in the Hall of Fame.
And it's weird. Sterling didn't even make the.
He's gonna have to be like one of those legacy players, like, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
and that's a
yeah.
shame because he was better than, I'm gonna put it out there. He was better than Rice 2 of those years at the end of
You
his
sound like
career.
dude, the Mighty Sharp.
He was better than Rice. He
he,
was by
he better
all
than Sugar
metrics.
Ray. He better than him.
By all metrics,
Better than Cassius Clay.
he whooped Joe Louis' ass. He did.
That was 175 years old. I don't know how old he was.
No, man, Sterling Sharp belongs in the Hall of Fame. If and you know, I'm a diehard Georgia Bulldogs fan. I love Georgia Bulldogs. If Terrell Davis is in the Hall of Fame, Sterling Sharp needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Terrell
Sterling Sharp.
Davis. Terrell Davis being in the Hall of Fame is how I know Matt Ryan's going to the Hall of Fame. That's how I know Eli Manning's going to the Hall of Fame.
Fair
You know
enough.
what I'm saying? No, seriously. That's how
Yeah.
when they put Terrell Davis, I was like, oh, you just got to be on TV.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to be on the NFL Network or on TV.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. Just stay in there, stay in the face, stay in their faces.
Yeah.
You'll get in. You'll
Well,
get in.
you know, Eli will go for
He
42,
might not.
46.
He might not go this time.
No.
But
Well,
I'm looking at the
I
list.
think he will.
There's not a better quarterback, and there's not another quarterback who was he's the only quarterback in the whole finalist list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
so
Eli Manning is the evolutionary Jim Plunkett. Like,
you know
let's
who
call a spade a spade. He's the evolutionary Jim Plunkett.
is he better than
But
Rippon?
I mean, you know, there's a lot of bad quarterbacks that have won Super Bowl. Brad Johnson, you know, Trent Dilfer, you know,
I don't
but
think Rippon was bad. I just he's just not
he
a
wasn't a
stat guy. He's not a
pedigree
stat
quarterback.
guy. No, he's not a
Yeah,
stat guy.
sure enough, sure enough. And this is the last thing I'll say before we kind of wind down. But I think that there's a good I don't know if you call it a podcast or YouTube channel, whatever it is, called NFL Throwback. And one of the things that I love that they do is they talk about players that you forgot were elite, and they'll bring up some player like like Jim Hart for the Cardinals,
Mhm.
or like, I mean, it'll be somebody. I guarantee there'll be somebody on that video that you had no idea existed, and then they will justify that these guys were elite for a period of time, right? And that's really where your Eli's kind of belong, maybe. You know what I mean? But he's got the family
He got
pedigree.
those stats, and he's got those stats. That Plaxico, if he gets to the Hall of Fame, it's because of those two games and Plaxico Burress.
Yeah,
Because
that's fair.
they were good for 2 touchdowns every Sunday
Yeah,
or Monday or Thursday. They were always good for 2 touchdowns.
those seasons in between the Super Bowl wins, Eli was slaying that thing, and he was a good fantasy quarterback. He was all
No
that.
Dallas Cowboy fan should have any issue with Eli Manning. No
Fair
Dallas
enough.
Cowboy
I
season
know
two
where you're
vote
going, because
should
Troy,
have.
when you start to put that microscope, when you start to really look at Troy,
What about it?
it gets kind of funny in that light.
It does, but you win 3 and 4 years.
Well, that's the point we're making, right?
But also he was the most efficient at the time in NFL history.
Thanks to Michael Irvin and
Thanks
and
but
and
but if
Alvin
the
Harper
but if the ball doesn't get there
and Jay Novacek
from your hands, right?
and
So
Moose Johnson.
it's the decisions that you make. It's a
I got
decision,
you.
and he had no MVPs.
None.
He had no MVPs
None.
because they gave him to Young,
None.
or they gave him to one time Emmitt Smith.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Partly gave him that one because it was like they were so mad at Jerry because of the way he treated Emmitt. I really think the writers were just like, this is
Man,
insane.
Emmett played without his shoulder was like his humerus was about 2 feet from that socket.
Yes.
He was out there carrying toting that rock. That's my favorite Emmett game.
Billingsley versus Carter. Like Billingsley
Hey.
and for Mojo versus Carter. And to put the shoulder back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, there's no other. If you look at this is set up for Eli. There's no
Yeah.
other quarterbacks. Now they can do it without, but how many times in our time together tonight have we talked about the fact that this is all set up for the quarterback? This whole thing.
Yeah, we
is set up
started
for
with
the
our
quarterback.
MVP conversation. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
You're
And
right.
he's the only quarterback left. I do think though somehow Vinatieri sneaks in this class.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Well, is it really a sneak in?
No, it's not a sneak in, but there's how many kickers have ever made it? It was like one of the Andersons
Yeah, it's very few kickers.
and like
Like I
Ray
mean,
Guy.
it took act of Congress to get Ray Guy in pretty much.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
he's the
tough.
last. I think there's been I think it's Ray Guy and I think one or two other kickers,
Hey,
and that's
you
it.
ain't seeing a Buster Ray
Vinatieri
Worsham
made the
or
difference in the outcome of at least 3 Roman numeral games.
Who did?
Raul
Yeah,
Zendejas.
Vinatieri. Yeah, Zendejas. Any of the Zendejas brothers.
Not seeing those Zendejas out there. No Haji Alasheiks out here. You know what I mean?
Vai
That's a throwback
Sakiyama.
for real.
Vai Sakiyama.
Vice,
Raphael
hey, Vice Kahima. Hey.
Vai Sakiyama. He would punch the thing. Vai Sakiyama. That's a little before your time, Chris.
Yeah.
22 for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I was gonna not a
Body
kicker.
bag game.
Not wow, rough stuff playing up there at the vet.
Yeah.
But I think Eli makes it in.
I think so too. I think so too.
But to your point, he put together some good stuff, but the tent pole things are
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
years.
Especially 11.
Yeah.
That 2011 was, I mean, look,
They weren't supposed to.
they weren't supposed to win that one.
No.
At all. That's supposed to be Gronk. Thank
Yeah.
goodness that actually didn't happen, because then we'd be talking about Aaron Hernandez too, and we probably don't need to be talking about him. So
I wasn't so much surprised they won 46.
yeah, well, you know,
Well, after they won
after they won the NFC Championship, like they really because they beat that 15-1 Aaron Rodgers team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They also beat the Falcons 24-2 in that playoff. Bad. That was one of the worst Falcons playoffs games I'd ever watched. I was on call at the VA hospital in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I was having my students. I was teaching my students, and just dejected. But at any rate, so next week we will see our results. We will discuss hopefully some fantastic football games and
can't wait.
Hey, Chris Lee, it's always a pleasure having you with us, man. Like this is this is our third year now, is it?
Second
year. Okay,
second
year. But this is our third year doing picks, second year with you.
Yes.
And this is a fun exercise, and guys, we promise you we'll be back. I've been doing some things as evidenced by the stuff over here. I'm pointing the wrong direction, but I've been kind of busy.
Several things behind you.
I've been kind of busy, and I love my brother Joe Carlos for being patient with me and being kind and all those things that a friend is. You know what I mean? He's a true friend.
Thank
indeed.
you. Thank you.
And so, but we'll be back to talk about some movies, and we're gonna have Lee on here talking about movies too. So, I'm looking forward to us getting back on track in that regard too. But
still waiting on the invite for Lean on Me.
Hey, that would be actually you put it out there. Consider
done. Consider that done.
Our post Super Bowl movie.
That's done.
That's a perfect
done.
I love Lean on
great.
Me.
Yeah,
I got a lot to say about Lean on Me.
I have so much to say about Lean on Me.
Robert Guillaume alone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Dr. Napier.
Dr. Napier. Hey man, no bigger.
You don't have your responsibilities.
Yeah. Exactly. And no bigger in measuring contest than what was done in that scene. But anyway, I digress. We can talk more about that then. But until that time, until next week, we got Joe Carlos, we got Chris Lee. I'm Calvin Smith. We are the Open Task Podcast. We appreciate you guys watching, listening. We are going to be on Apple Podcasts. We're going to be on Spotify. We're going to be on Anchor. We're going to be on YouTube. So if you want to see us, you can see all these visuals back here. We appreciate every single one of you guys who listens, who tells a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend to listen to us. And we'll be back next week. So until that time, we're out.